It is 7 minutes past the hour, 3 o'clock. Hey, everybody. Good afternoon. I am Brian Wilson. I am your friend and radio buddy, and you're listening to The Drive for this 8th day of August. It is Thursday. It's not quite as hot as it has been, but still warm enough. We got quite the show lined up for you here. In case you haven't heard, President Trump held a wide-ranging and at times rambling press conference today at Mar-a-Lago, and we have spent some time trying to cull through. It was a big old, as Trump's things tend to be. It was more than an hour, I think it was. And so he had a lot to say, had a lot on his mind. I think perhaps the big news is that he wants to do as many as 3 debates with Kamala Harris. And it appears maybe one of them is locked in and the others are still under negotiation. He said, look, I'm in and I've committed to this. And we got to hear from the other side now. Here is Donald Trump talking about the debates a short time ago. Here is, as I said, Donald Trump talking about the debates a short time ago.
I think it's very important to have debates, and we've agreed with Fox on a date of September 4th. We've agreed with NBC on September 10th, and we've agreed with ABC on September 25th. So we have those 3 dates, and we have spoken to the heads of the network, and it's all been confirmed. The other side has to agree to the terms. They may or may not agree. I don't know if they're going to agree. She hasn't done an interview. She can't do an interview. She's barely competent, and she can't do an interview. We also have CBS is going to do the vice presidential debate. So CBS will do vice presidential, and I have to tell you, J.D. Vance has really stepped up. He's doing a fantastic job.
So that would be September 4th on Fox, he says he'll do. The September debate, the September 10th debate will be on ABC. September 25th, NBC, I guess it is. And CBS, they would handle a vice presidential debate. All of that's still to be worked out with the other side, but it is an indication that Trump's ready to get out there and go after it. And the question is, how will the other side respond? Will Kamala Harris continue her strategy of staying, low key and not putting herself in a position where she's not on teleprompter and all of that? Amazingly, the Harris Walz campaign, I got to get used to saying that. The Harris-Walz campaign was out there making fun of Donald Trump, who was doing a press conference when they don't do any media. And in fact, President Trump was asked about, why aren't you doing more? He said, more? I'm right here now.
I'm speaking to you on phones. I'm speaking to radio. I'm speaking to television. Television's coming over here. Excuse me, what are we doing right now? She's not doing any news conference. You know why she's not doing it? Because she can't do a news conference. She doesn't know how to do a news conference. She's not smart enough to do a news conference.
So, again, do you detect a theme there? Questioning the intellect of Kamala Harris. Okay. He had some interesting things to say about what happened to current President Joe Biden. And I think Trump really would have loved to have campaigned against Biden. He says he's not worried about Kamala Harris, but he in a way feels a little sorry for what happened to Joe Biden.
Presidency was taken away from Joe Biden, and I'm no Biden fan, but I'll tell you what. From a constitutional standpoint, from any standpoint you look at, they took the presidency away. And people were saying he lost after the debate. He couldn't win. Well, I don't know that that's true necessarily. But whether he could win or he couldn't win, he had the right to run. And they took it away. They said they're going to use the 25th Amendment. They're going to hit you hard. Either we can do it the nice. I know exactly, because I know a lot of people on the other side, believe it or not. And they said, we'll do it the nice way, or we'll do it the hard way. And he said, all right. So they've really taken, what they've done is pretty incredible. And now I'm running against somebody else, and we're leading. So I'm not complaining. I'm saying for a country with a constitution that we cherish this constitution. To have done it this way is pretty severe, pretty horrible. You would have thought they would have gone out to a vote. They would have had a primary system. They would have done something. But to just take it away from him like he was a child. And he's a very angry man right now, I can tell you that. He's not happy with Obama, and he's not happy with Nancy Pelosi, crazy Nancy. She is crazy, too. She's not happy with any of the people that told him that you've got to leave. He's very unhappy, very angry, and I think he also blames her.
He's a very angry duck, lame duck, that is. I mean, I guess he's sulking in the basement at the White House. And really, honestly, he hasn't been seen very much since this all happened. Everybody said, well, he's going to be low key. We haven't seen him at all. I mean, at some point we need him to, at least walk to the chopper so we can see proof of life. Otherwise, who knows? So there you have that. I think that's interesting how Trump sort of has. Did you detect a little sympathy for Joe Biden? Not that he's a big Biden fan by any stretch of the imagination. He just didn't think the process was right. There's legitimate news out of all of this. I mean, you have to. It's almost like trying to drink water out of a fire hose when you go to a Donald Trump press conference. It goes on and on and on. There's so many things said. I still think that this is going to be one of the big things. That if he runs with this will be a big thing. This will help the campaign a tremendous amount, and it has to do with taxes. Because on the other side of the equation, you've got Kamala Harris actually saying that they're going to let the tax cuts that Trump put in place expire. And in effect, they're going to allow taxes to go up. And that they've never seen a tax and spend program that they didn't like over there. So that, you can count on higher taxes. Trump, on the other hand, saying that he wants to cut taxes for certain people.
We're going to have no tax on seniors, Social Security, and we're going to have no tax on tips. Very simple. And we are a country that has so many different ways to make money. We have under our feet more liquid gold, I call it oil, and gas, than any country in the world, much more than Saudi Arabia, much more than Russia. We have so many different ways we can make money. We're not going to hurt our seniors with Social Security, and we're not going to charge them tax. Okay?
Okay. All right. Good. So there's sort of a sense of it all. Overall, I'm not gonna just harp on this endlessly, but again, it was a rambling press conference. It wasn't very focused. His communication effort, it's typical stuff that you get with Trump. It's sort of stream of consciousness. I mean, as somebody who does talk radio, I have at times been known to slip into stream of consciousness. You got to keep the needle bouncing. But I mean, honestly, I wish it were more focused, because here's a wonderful opportunity. Everybody was there. The cameras were rolling. A real opportunity to go out and talk about the things that you want to do, the things that you want to accomplish. And it just seemed to be, a little unfocused. That I'm just going to leave it there. I'm not going to go into my large rant, because, I think this is what Trump is, and expecting him to be different is probably not something that's going to happen. I do wish that the messaging were more sharp and pointed. The other side's messaging, whether you agree with it or not, you have to admit they're on their talking points. They're hitting their stuff pretty hard, and they're talking about the things they're going to do. Now, it's interesting that, maybe one of the things that Trump could do in the days ahead is to focus on the things that they have said in the past, which now seem to be at variance with the things that they promised to do. But if he's not going to do that, trust me, Chris Webber and I will. We're ready for that. And I'll explain that in just a little bit. So a wide-ranging press conference. I think the debate thing, look, I've been behind the scenes at times when these debates are being negotiated, and it's never a done deal until they announce that it's a done deal. I think there's a word out that ABC is sort of suggesting that both sides are on board. Now, there was going to be an original debate with ABC News, and it was going to be Biden and Trump, and that had already been agreed to. And then, we got a change, and Trump started talking as if he didn't want to do the debate, especially if George Stephanopoulos was going to be one of the people asking questions, because he's got a lawsuit against George Stephanopoulos. I understand that. I think that's fine. But it became clear that if there was going to be any debate, It would have ABC would have to be one of the debates. Now he has proposed 3. It'd be a busy month of debates in September. The 4th on Fox, the 10th on ABC, and I guess at the 25th on NBC. 3 different debates in the month of September and a vice presidential debate squeezed in there somewhere along the way on CBS if Trump is to have his way. Look, I think it's probably a good thing to have Trump go up against Kamala Harris in that sort of arena. Here's the thing, Trump, he was pretty good in the first debate. He really handled it masterfully. I was really pleased to see sort of the pulling back of Trump and letting Joe Biden just hang himself. When your opponent is ruining doing things that are just damaging their campaign, just stay out of the way. And Trump was smart enough to do that. This will be a little different. It'll be mixing it up a bit more. But I think she's not good unless it's on a teleprompter. She's really not good unless it's been worked out for her in advance and she reads the teleprompter. Anything that involves her to ad lib, she turns into word salad. These questions will be asked by some pretty sharp people along the way, and she'll have to answer some things in a way she's not used to answering. She's running a protective campaign. She's basically running the basement campaign that Joe Biden ran in 2020, except that she's actually not in the basement, but it's the same strategy. She walks out, she hits her marks, she reads what's on the teleprompter, and she scrambles away. She never puts herself in a position where she has to wing it. She never puts herself in a place where she has to answer questions on the fly. She doesn't like to have questions. The only time that she ever speaks extemporaneously is on rare occasions when she stops by to speak to the cameras that are right outside her aircraft. The camera crews assemble as she walks up the steps. And so she'll answer, she'll have something to say that's prepared. It never goes more than about 15 seconds. It's one thing that she wants to get across on the news of the day, and then she immediately turns on her high heels and walks up the stairs to the aircraft and does not take any questions. J.D. Vance was brilliant yesterday in walking out to Air Force Two, which was parked right next to his plane, and suggesting that he went over and talked to the press corps because he felt bad for them being so lonely that nobody ever came and talked to them. Nobody was ever there for them to ask questions, and he felt bad for them. Brilliant. Truly a brilliant moment. All right, so there you have it, the latest from Donald Trump after a long press conference at Mar-a-Lago. We'll be back in just a moment, 20 minutes past the hour. Let me tell you about the folks over at United Structural Systems. They've been in business for about 30 years now, and they are the place you go if you have structural issues of any kind. They can help you out, and they've got a great reputation of doing that and making sure that you don't have to pay a penny until the job is done and you are completely satisfied. That's what they do. I know that, in their world, they really understand how to fix your house if you have a problem with the foundation, mold treatment, concrete leveling. They're all good at that. They got some back-to-school promotion offers. First thing off, if you got any job over $2,500, 10% off. Well, that's good. They do have financing for these projects, no payments, no interest for 1 year. That's a pretty good deal. And they want you to know that they never ask for a penny up front. You don't have to pay a penny until the job is done and you are completely satisfied. They've been serving Middle Tennessee, Southern and Western Kentucky for some time now. USS, they guarantee their best. Learn more about their website, USSTN.com. And here's the number. Call them. Set something up if you got a problem or concern. 615-488-7855.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
In an extended news conference today, Donald Trump announcing impending debates with his Democratic opponent. Tropical Storm Debbie still out there causing trouble. And a Tennessee inmate dies suddenly. We'll have those stories at 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, there's Jay Harper in the newsroom, and there's Chris Weber behind the glass there doing all the blinky button stuff. And we've been hard at work, Chris and I have, in producing a special device that you will only hear on this program. I mean, we went to a lot of effort, and quite frankly, Chris, I have to say, I think this is cutting edge technology.
Oh yeah, it's top of the line. Elon would be real jealous.
I know. I mean, this is stuff. It is the Super Talk 99.7. Well, maybe we should call it the drives, because I don't know if we're going to allow anybody else to use our proprietary.
They're not qualified.
And you have to have a lot of preparation to use this technology. Yeah. And it took us months and months to put this together. And it is what we call the Wayback Machine. And the whole idea here is that we launched the Wayback Machine, and then we go back in time with the Wayback Machine and find the things that the politicians said then that they are disavowing now. They think we don't remember, but with the proprietary Wayback Machine heard only here on the drive, we will be able to bring you those things and hold them accountable for the things that they have said. And we are in compliance with all OSHA rules and regulations.
As far as they know.
We don't want them to look too close. I don't know that we would pass an inspection, but right now, when we're wearing our safety goggles and our helmets when we launch the Wayback Machine, we'll be doing that in just a few moments. I do want to talk seriously about what's going on with this whole thing with Taylor Swift. You know, we poke a lot of fun at Tay-Tay. She's all that in a bag of chips for a lot of people, and I get that. But the stories that are coming out of Vienna, Austria, about the canceled concerts is incredibly scary. We came very close to having a horrific disaster. Both suspects, this is from AP, both suspects in a foiled plot to attack Taylor Swift shows in Vienna appeared to be inspired by the Islamic State group and Al-Qaeda, Austrian authorities said on Thursday, and investigators found bomb-making materials at one of their homes. Officials said one of the two confessed to planning to kill as many people as possible outside the concert venue. 3 sold-out concerts canceled Wednesday because of the plot. Devastating Swifties from around the globe. Many of them had dropped a lot of money, a lot of euros on travel and lodging in Austria's expensive capital city to attend the Eras Tour shows at the Ernst Happel Stadium, which sat empty on Thursday morning. They had as many as 65,000 fans inside the stadium for each concert and as many as 30,000 people outside who couldn't get in. That, I mean, you're talking 95,000 people in the vicinity of what they plan to do. Authorities found, as they say, bomb-making materials there. The situation was serious, says Interior Minister Gerhard Karner. We can also say a tragedy was prevented. Austrian security officials alleged the 2 young men whose names were not released because of the rules in Austria wanted to commit an attack outside the stadium, killing as many people using knives or self-made explosives. The main suspect, a 19-year-old Austrian with North Macedonian roots, fully confessed his attack plans, the security officials said at a press conference. They all said he was clearly radicalized in the direction of the Islamic State and thinks that it's right to kill infidels. The third story here, very quickly, is from the Wall Street Journal. Listen to this. The main suspect pledged allegiance to the Islamic State. Franz Ruf, the head of public safety in Austria, said during a press conference Thursday, the suspect confessed to the plan shortly after being arrested. The suspect planned, along with a 17-year-old accomplice, to use explosive and knives. Basically, what they were going to do, he wanted to carry out an attack in the area outside the stadium, killing as many people using knives or even using explosive devices. And one of the things that we have heard is that he wanted to drive a truck right into the crowd and then detonate the explosives. killing, as they say, maybe 30,000 people that were outside that stadium could have been in the direct line sight of that bomb. Really quite scary. So, it was the right thing to do to cancel the concerts. But I look at this and I say, there before the grace of God go we. Because in the United States, we have a lot of people that have come into this country through the southern border we don't know anything about. I think a good number of them could be very bad actors who do not have the best interest of the American people in their hearts and minds. I think they want to do us harm. And I think that, we are very lucky that we have not seen something like this in the United States due to the Biden southern border policy. So I'm glad they intercepted this one. I hope that our folks are as good at intercepting the things that might happen here. 3:30 now on Super Talk 99.7.
Good afternoon. It's 3:30. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We've got sun and 89 degrees. A forecast and a traffic report are just minutes away. During a news conference at Mar-a-Lago today in Florida, former President Trump said he's looking forward to debating his Democratic rival, Kamala Harris, next month. We've got details on all that from Jay O'Brien in Washington.
He says he agreed to 3 debates, all of which are going to be in September. And we have learned from the Harris campaign that they have also committed to at least one of those 3 debates, the one that ABC News is going to host on September 10th.
Tropical storm Debbie still being a pest. North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper held a press conference today after touring parts of his state in Wilson County, North Carolina, where there's damage and flooding from the tropical storm.
This storm is unrelenting and it moves slowly. I'm concerned about floodwaters, obviously. We still haven't seen the worst of it yet.
And this storm traveling up the eastern seaboard, it's expected for areas of D.C., Pennsylvania, and that part of the country to be feeling the wrath of all the rainfall here very soon. Back here in Nashville, in at least Middle Tennessee anyway, Channel 4 reporting an investigation is underway after an inmate died at a Tennessee prison yesterday morning. This according to Core Civic. At about 9:15, medical staff were called to respond to a medical emergency after an unresponsive inmate was found in his living area at the South Central Correctional Facility in Clifton. Core Civic reports medical personnel quickly responded, began life-saving measures, and called for an ambulance. The inmate was taken to the on-site medical unit where he was evaluated by a doctor, but pronounced dead about 17 minutes after they found the man. Core Civic did not immediately release any details about the inmate's age or identity. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
All right, as much as I think we'd like it to be the case, there's no easy way to solve back pain What is back pain? Really, it's pressure on your nerves, right? And so there are no pills, there are no spinal creams that are going to solve that problem. You have a couple of choices: surgery or non-invasive spinal decompression. Now, I chose non-surgical spinal decompression at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. They have state-of-the-art facilities and the latest high-tech equipment, offering non-surgical procedures that are the cutting edge of the industry. Because getting better is so important, Dr. Kevin Mitchell, Dr. Ashley are offering half off spinal decompression treatments and half off the KT knee machine, which is sort of like spinal decompression, but it's for the knee. It gently elongates the knee and allows the healing therapy to go deep within the joint. Now, if you're a new patient, here's what happens. You get an exam, a consultation, an x-ray if one is needed. They'll tell you about your first treatment, and you'll receive your first treatment, and that only costs you $23. And then remember, after that, half off spinal decompression treatments. I'm Brian Wilson. I put my stamp of approval on the Wellness Institute of Nashville. So call them today at 615-246-5009. Learn more at paintisbad.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
It's 38 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Brian Wilson in the chair and on the air. Look, we're moving into some new technology here on this program, proprietary to this program. We call it the Wayback Machine. Now, we have worked hard on this. Chris Webber and I have worked very hard to work out this new technology. The Wayback Machine, a very powerful radio tool and device that allows us, Chris, I don't know how to describe it. We're going back in time.
Yeah.
And we're going to, and we'll find the clips, the sound bites, the actualities, if you will, of people who are now disavowing things that they said in the past. I mean, we find that they don't stand for the same things, these politicians, that they once stood for. and they're trying to gloss over their past record. But we're not going to allow that.
You can't undo what has been done.
That's right, and our Wayback Machine is specifically designed to go back and call out some of these past comments that have been made by people. Well, let's talk. For example, today we're going to talk a lot about Tim Walz. He's, of course, Kamala Harris's running mate, and he's trying to present himself as somebody that he is not, based on his past statements. So if you're ready, Chris, make sure you got the safety goggles on.
We ready, Colonel?
Fasten all seatbelts. Seal all entrances and exits. Close all shops in the mall. Cancel the free-range circus.
All right, I think we're ready.
I think we're ready. And again, this is best experienced in full stereo. If you have you're in the car right now, turn up your radio just a little bit as we launch the Drive's Wayback Machine. Here we go. Oh!
We're going back in
Whoa! Let the smoke clear just a little bit here before. No, that's better. I mean, I'm telling you, it's powerful machinery.
Yesterday.
That'll clear your sinuses is what that'll do right there. All right, so now let's see what the Wayback Machine has found. Well, first of all, there are a lot of questions about Tim Walz and his service. In fact, some have come to calling him Tim A. Walz because he left his unit in the National Guard as soon as he learned out that they were going to Iraq. They got their notice to prepare, and he said, excuse me, I'm going to go do some other stuff, and he resigned, leaving his people sort of on the high and dry as they went to Iraq for a long deployment. And so this has been confirmed to us by Tom Behrens, who was serving in the National Guard alongside Tim Walz when this happened.
When 05 rolled around, he got notified. I mean, they all knew what was going to happen. I mean, it was right on the documents. It was going to be Iraq. The warning order was out there from March until May, and then May rolled around, and the rumor came out across the state that he had quit, turned his stuff in, and slithered down the steps out of the armory and had quit and retired. And everybody was in shock because senior NCOs don't do that. I mean, that you basically train for years and years. You're with your soldiers. Your soldiers are literally like your kids almost. I mean, you've watched them grow up. You've helped them shoot guns and learn how to do the radio stuff. And then all of a sudden when it's time to go do your thing with that, you quit. I mean, that just absolutely was just disgusting. People were like, well, what is he, a coward, whatever. Nobody knew what the answer was. And then he went on to run for Congress, and when he was running for Congress, he did all kinds of things. Like he kept calling himself a retired sergeant major.
I'm Tim Walz, and I'm running for Congress in Minnesota's 1st Congressional District. I'm a retired command sergeant major. I spent 24 years in the Army National Guard.
He wasn't a command sergeant major. And in fact, he never completed the school, and so when he left, he was downgraded. Now, he's claiming to be something that he was not.
Hello, everyone. I'm Congressman Tim Walz. It's a real honor to be able to pay tribute to the 34th Red Bull Infantry Division and to your families and friends as you prepare to deploy in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. As a 24-year veteran of the National Guard and the Red Bull Division and a retired command sergeant major, I'm especially proud of you. You are continuing a long and great tradition of service by the citizen soldiers of the 34th.
Well, again, he claimed a rank that he did not hold. And again, here he is commending people who are going to do something that he refused to do. There's a lot on this, and again, because he left his squadron, his battalion, at a time when they were going into a very, very difficult situation. It left a vacuum of leadership at the time, and it's apparently just not done in a situation like that. You don't walk away at the time when things start getting a little too heated, or you're going to put yourself actually in the line of fire. He talks a lot about being in the line of fire, and in fact he says this. He talks about weapons of war and how we need to take away weapons of war. Listen carefully to this soundbite.
Yes, I'll take my kick in the butt for the NRA. I spent 25 years in the Army, and I hunt. And I gave the money back, and I'll tell you what I have been doing. I've been voting for common sense legislation that protects the Second Amendment, but we can do background checks. We can do CDC research. We can make sure we don't have reciprocal carry among states, and we can make sure that those weapons of war that I carried in war is the only place where those weapons are at.
He never carried a weapon in war. If he has, J.D. Vance says, I want you to tell me where that was, because we can't find any evidence of it. So again, he went from 24 to 25 years, and there he's talking about, you can't have the same thing that I carried as a weapon of war in wars, but he was never in a place where he was ever in a war zone. So gun control, that's a big thing with him.
We can do background checks. We can do CDC research.
Well, there you go. Tim Walz, after the riots in Minneapolis, he says he's being questioned about, what can we tell people? The business people, the community, as the rioters are burning up the city and invading police departments. What should we tell them? What should we say?
Are we going to be safe? Are we going to be okay? Are businesses going to go down? Your thoughts?
Well, it's my responsibility. I would tell Minnesotans that we are doing everything in our power to do that. And I want to hold those two truths at the same time. The folks you see out there at Brooklyn Center are in trauma, and they're rightfully angry at a system that does not serve them and puts black youth and people of color at risk.
So the people who were burning down buildings, including the police station, are rightfully angry. That they have a right to be that angry? They have a right to do those kinds of things in a community? Well, that's what he said. And remember, they kept calling, when can you pull out the National Guard? Would you please pull out the National Guard? The mayor was asking him to launch the National Guard, and he finally did after several days, but only because the pressure became unbearable. And, he was asked about it later, and he said, look, the mayor kept asking for the National Guard. I don't think he knew what he was asking for.
I don't think the mayor knew what he was asking for. He wanted the National Guard, and what does that mean? I think to the mayor, yes, I think it's a perception. I'm certainly not questioning that. I think the mayor said, I request the National Guard. Whew, I'm out. This is great. We're going to have massively trained troops. No, you're going to have 19-year-olds who are cooks in some cases.
Isn't it interesting that, he had such a low opinion of the National Guard that he served in for 24 years? But he just was not going to do it until he absolutely got, told, you've got to do this, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. So I want you to know that the Wayback Machine doesn't just work on things that involve Tim Walz. It'll work on all of the politicians who are trying to cover up the things that they have said in the past. Like Kamala Harris, how she has said, for example, that she now says that she's not against the idea of fracking, but the Wayback Machine found this.
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. So, yeah, and starting with what we can do on day one around public lands, right? And then there has to be legislation. But yes, and this is something I've taken on in California. I have a history of working on this issue. And to your point, we have to just acknowledge that the residual impact of fracking is enormous in terms of the impact on the health and safety of communities.
Yeah, so she says she's all okay with fracking, but back then she had a very different opinion about that. And when she comes to the southern border, she's saying, we've shut down the southern border. We've done a good job there. But you know what she really wants? And we found this with the Wayback Machine. It's very, very good technology. It finds all the good little bites. Here's Kamala admitting that honestly, though they would never say it today, amnesty has always been the goal.
There is no question that our immigration system is broken. And so much so that we, as the first bill that we offered after our inauguration, was to fix the immigration system, which included what we must do to create a pathway for citizenship and to put the resources that are needed into the border. But sadly, people on the other side of the aisle have been playing politics with this issue. The solutions are at hand. And, gone are the days, sadly, where a President Bush or John McCain understood that we should have a bipartisan approach to fixing this problem, which is a long-standing problem. But what are those solutions? The solution includes putting resources at the border to do what we can to process people effectively and putting in place laws that actually allow for a meaningful pathway to citizenship.
Amnesty. She's for it, and she's also very proud.
That, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone else, that is called Bidenomics. That is called Bidenomics, and we are very proud of Bidenomics.
Yes, we're very proud of Bidenomics. And the Wayback Machine also remembers that there was a time and a place when Kamala Harris giggled a lot, but she doesn't do that much anymore. We have found many examples of said giggling. So I don't know, Chris. I think that's pretty effective technology. It seems to have done the job here today. And from time to time, we will launch the Wayback Machine so that we can find other examples of things that have been said in the past by the politicians positions that they don't hold today.
Very effective. Now I just got to go find some more plutonium.
Okay, yes, because it takes a lot of energy to run this thing. Well, I am afraid to look at our next electric bill. It's going to be something. There'll be a memo coming from management, I'm sure. 50 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock. Are your retirement assets structured to minimize taxes? Hard to believe, but many hardworking Americans just like you are overpaying on taxes in retirement. You may be taxed on your IRA, your 401k, and any other tax-deferred retirement account. Beacon Capital Management is here to give you peace of mind. With the threat of massive tax increases just around the corner, your nest egg could be in trouble unless you take advantage of defensive tax-saving strategies now. Defend your hard-earned retirement savings by scheduling a free retirement tax reduction analysis today. No cost, no pressure, no obligation. If you've saved more than $250,000 for retirement, don't wait any longer. Schedule your free retirement tax reduction analysis from Beacon. Just call this number, 615-488-9303, or visit askbeaconnow.com.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Donald Trump with an extensive news conference today. We'll have some of what he said. Kamala Harris speaking before union workers in Michigan today. We'll have some of what she said. And another violent beach attack in Mexico. We'll have those stories at 4 p.m. on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, let's take a look at the markets. Coming back a little bit after the rout earlier this week. Dow Jones Industrial's up 683 points today. That's a good return. S&P up 119. NASDAQ up 464. What's driving this optimism after such pessimism earlier this week? Let's check in with John Maxon over at Beacon Capital Management to find out. Good afternoon, John.
Hey, good afternoon, Brian. Yeah, it's been a crazy week back and forth. Today ended up being the best day since November of 2022. S&P is about flat on the week. What really helped the market today was the fact that it's been really nervous about the jobs report last week, and weekly jobless claims came in just about 17,000 below the expectation. It's kind of a yawner, usually that report, but it really drove the market. There's been some talk of recession. It took that pressure off. And on another development for real estate, a good development, mortgage rates actually hit a low today, about a one-year low. So that should be good for real estate. So the market getting a little bit of relief from recession talk. Tomorrow we're going to get consumer sentiment that will really give us a picture of how the consumer feels, along with housing starts. So a couple of important reports tomorrow to pay attention to.
All right. Thank you, John. Listen, to find out about all the things that John Maxon and all the good people at Beacon Capital Management can do to help you get ready for your retirement, just go to their website, askbeaconnow.com. It is 58 past the hour.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Good afternoon. It is 4 p.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. Partly sunny, 88 degrees. A forecast and a traffic report are coming up. Most dangerous period of time I've ever seen for our country. That was the remark from Donald Trump when he began a long news conference today at Mar-a-Lago in Florida.
Our country is right now in the most dangerous position it's ever been in from an economic standpoint, from a safety standpoint.
The former president also announcing that he's agreed to 3 debates in September with Fox, NBC, and ABC, saying he hopes that Kamala Harris will also agree. Harris and her running mate took their Democratic presidential message to union workers in Wayne, Michigan today. The vice president addressing dozens of UAW members.
You know, when you know what you stand for, you know what to fight for. We know what we stand for, and we stand for the people, and we stand for the dignity of work.
Well, there has been another violent beach attack in Cancun, Mexico. ABC's Alex Stone reports.
For the second time in a week, drug cartel members have shot from jet skis, hitting people on a beach. The first time, they killed a Mexican child on a beach famous with American tourists. The latest attack happened near a hotel. 3 people were injured. The victims, 2 of whom were selling tours and renting lounge chairs. The shooting once again was related to drug cartels fighting to control the sale of drugs on the beach.
And now a rather crazy story here in Middle Tennessee. 3 men believed to be gang members from Texas were finally taken into custody yesterday after a robbery here in Nashville and a robbery attempt in Kingston Springs. According to Metro Police, a repairman was servicing a Bank of America ATM on Charlotte Pike yesterday when 3 suspects approached the man with what appeared to be a weapon and quickly stole cash containers meant for that ATM. Metro Police said the trio then took off in a stolen vehicle that was later detected by license plate readers in Kingston Springs. Soon thereafter, Kingston Springs police, they responded to a shots fired call after a homeowner called 911 and said someone just tried to rob her, but she shot at them as they took off in that stolen vehicle. A Kingston Springs officer soon found the vehicle parked and witnessed 3 men running from the car. Law enforcement from several agencies quickly established a perimeter to contain the suspects, and with support from helicopters provided by both Metro Police and State Police, ground units coordinated a search and finally took these men into custody. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather, they're next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
The Guaranteed Offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a Guaranteed Offer and start packing.
Good afternoon, everybody. 6 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Brian Wilson in the chair all the way till 7 o'clock tonight, bringing you news and information you can use. We are really glad to have you along on this 8th day of August as you try to, run your afternoon errands and get home safely. We will try to give you information. We'll try to make sense of the world that has, at times, it appears it makes no sense, but we're going to do our best anyway. Glad again that you're with us. I want to start here with our 2024 update. We have special music for that, of course, and because it's not a 2024 update without the music. A lot of stuff to go through here. I'm going to give you my sense of it just off the top. The numbers are still tightening, but there's a lot of volatility in the numbers, and guess what that means is a lot of people, are still trying to figure out exactly what's going on with this Harris-Walz combination that the Democrats are now throwing, and so the people are considering, what their positions are. They're reading in on. So I think you're going to see a lot of movement all over the place. But in the grand scheme of things, I think there is undeniably a trend that shows that the numbers between the two are tightening. Before that announcement, before we had Kamala as the nominee and Walz as the running mate, Trump was doing much better in the numbers. There's just little doubt about that. So let me go through some of this stuff. I want to start, though, with something that's not about numbers. It's about voter integrity. And I'm telling you right now, ladies and gentlemen, this is happening in every state. And we need to be a lot better about making sure that we clean up our voter rolls. If Democrats want proof that foreigners are registering to vote, Virginia just found 6,303 examples. As part of their embarrassing smear campaign against Republicans, writes The Federalist, worried about the integrity of American elections, legacy media have twisted them into pretzels trying to convince the country that foreign nationals interfering in the U.S. electoral system is a non-existent problem. So-called journalists and their Democrat political allies regularly claim concerns about non-citizens registering ahead of and voting in the 2024 election. They say that's baseless because it's already illegal for foreigners to cast ballots in federal contests. Of course, these self-professed experts on misinformation conveniently declined to mention that there's no enforcement mechanism to prevent this from happening, or that numerous Democrat-run cities have granted illegal aliens the ability to vote in municipal races. Yet for all their hyperbolic grandstanding and opposition to ensuring only eligible Americans have a say in the U.S. elections, Democrats have no legs left to stand on when it's revealed that foreign nationals are in fact registering to vote. This all comes to Virginia. And Governor Youngkin, he revealed on Wednesday that the Commonwealth's Department of Election has removed, are you ready for this number? More than 6,300 non-citizens from its voter rolls since his administration took office. All data collected by the DMV that identifies non-citizens is shared with ELECT, which it uses to scrub existing voter rolls and remove non-citizens who may have purposefully or accidentally registered to vote, Youngkin wrote. According to data from ELECT between January 22 and July of 24, records indicate we removed 6,303 non-citizens from the voter rolls. Now, Virginia is one of only 3 states to require individuals to provide their full 9-digit Social Security number when registering to vote, according to Youngkin. In his order, the GOP governor instructed Elect Commissioner Susan Beals to provide him with annual confirmation that the state's proper election protocols are in place and local registrars are fully trained on these critical procedures. This includes rules governing ballot deadlines, ballot chain of custody, tabulation machines, and verifying election results to ensure accuracy. So, again, in the Commonwealth of Virginia, they have just found 6,300 people who are not citizens that have been taken off the rolls. For people who say it doesn't happen, well, what is this? What is this mess here? And there have been other states where they've been cleaning up the rolls. We read a story the other day about Ohio cleaning up the rolls. But, unfortunately, some of the blue states, they don't want to clean up the rolls. And of course, I'm not too worried about the blue states. Everybody gets in. We want voter integrity. We want one person, one vote, and we only want people who are authorized to vote. Right? We can all agree on that. But I don't worry too much about the blue states. The blue states are going to be blue, okay? And they're going to run up an electoral count. All right. You may want to have some things to check out when there are like Senate races and things like that. But for the presidential race, the blue vote states are going to vote blue. The red states are going to vote red. It's in these purple states. How many people in these purple states that are all important, who are not supposed to be voting in these elections, are going to be voting? And is there any program in places like Pennsylvania, in Michigan, in Wisconsin, in other places that are becoming tight, Georgia, for example? Are we doing all we can to make sure that people who are not qualified to vote in a national election or a federal election are actually kept from voting? I'm glad they're doing this in Virginia. I'd like to see it done as standard operating procedure around the country, but don't tell me that there aren't people to try to game the system, because we just found 6,303 examples in the Commonwealth of Virginia. The Biden-Harris team, they have some people working behind the scenes. These little digital munchkins who work on their campaigns. Very sophisticated stuff about not only going out there and getting their message across using the internet, using social media, but also they have a robust plan back in 2020 to go after people who put out a message that they would get characterized as misinformation, whether it was or wasn't. And for example, here is a clip that has been found. It's an old Zoom call that somebody stumbled upon. It is people who are on that digital team talking about the successes they had in 2020. Listen to this.
One of the smartest things that I think the party did itself was over the last couple of years, they actually invested in a team that Tim runs, and you'll hear from Tim, to detect and track misinformation and misinformation narratives in the sort of various corners of the internet.
But what they determine is misinformation, not what you and I might think is misinformation.
And then actually go out and flag it to platforms as a violation of their policy. And so that work, the stuff that they did was a critical asset. That piece of infrastructure, I think, was one of the more important decisions that was made in sort of the party space over the last couple of years.
Becca Rinkovich was Biden's rapid response director back in that time. A rapid response director is somebody who is prepared to respond quickly when things pop up to try to knock them down, right?
We saw a huge amount of volume and a lot of impact on narratives like Joe Biden was being manipulated by the radical left and disinformation around his mental acuity. We targeted folks based on online behavioral cues, building out personas based on the type of content they were consuming, what they were searching, the kinds of websites they were visiting, so that we could target folks in real time as they were exposed to that disinformation.
That's very sophisticated stuff. They were paying attention to what key voters that they thought were on the bubble, could go either way. They studied you. They knew what kind of things you were looking at. They knew what kind of things you were interested in. They knew what would resonate with you and what would not resonate with you. And when information came out and they went out and after you and they targeted you specifically to see if they could turn you around. How successful was this? Listen to this.
A couple notes on sort of our eventual top line impact. We found over the course of our campaign in tracking with our traditional research and in-flight ads measurement that the risk and the hit concern around mental acuity in particular went down by 8 points over the course of our campaign.
In other words, they got concern about Biden's mental acuity in 2020 to go down 8 points simply by targeting the right people. But listen.
And in looking at the number of folks who moved in vote choice, we saw about 200K folks.
200K folks, that's 200,000 votes that they were able to switch, that were hesitating out of concern about Biden's mental acuity. They changed their minds by targeting and knowing specifically what things would resonate with them.
Shore up their votes for the president-elect based on the ads that we served in our campaign. So a very quick and dirty high-level look at our program, but happy to dig in more.
I raise this, and I know it's really in the weeds for a lot of people, but I raise this to let you know just how sophisticated their operation is. They're paying attention to the things that you are reading. They have a profile built up on you. And if they think that there's some chance they can get you to come over to their side, that somehow you're wavering or you're on the bubble or you're in the middle somewhere, and they target specific people who could be persuadable. They hit you with targeted messages that are going to resonate with you because they know so much about you. And they were able, in their effort, just on this one thing about Biden's mental acuity, they were able to change opinions to the point where they believe they picked up an extra 200,000 votes. They're playing chess, folks, over on the other side. I just thought this was very interesting, and it also a little scary that political campaigns are looking at you and studying you in such in a very depth way. They're doing a deep dive on you. Now to the numbers. Let's talk about the numbers, the good, the bad, the ugly. As I said, I think there's a lot of volatility. I don't know what to believe in all of this, so I'll just throw it out there and tell you what's going on. Vice President Kamala Harris has opened up a 6-point lead over former President Donald Trump. According to one poll, this comes from the Marquette Law School, they say that nationwide general election, she has a 6-point lead. That is not in keeping with other polls, but it's out there. CNBC has a poll out today, says that general election number, Trump is up by 2. Rasmussen reports, which has always looked pretty good for Trump, has him up by 5. So who knows what's going on in the general election number? It's pretty interesting, though. Let's see what else. This is YouGov.com, trying to figure out what they think about Walz, which is really basically they don't know anything about him. Let me tell you how sheeple the Democrats are. They will, whatever they get told, they just get in line. They don't question it. The opinion of Tim Walz among Democrats before he was chosen as the vice presidential running mate for Kamala Harris was at 28%. That's the favorable opinion. Only 28% of Democrats had a favorable opinion of him. But as soon as he's chosen, that jumped almost overnight to 62%. Oh, well, he's our guy now. We may not have thought much about him before, but we're going to get on board now. A number of independents and Republicans unsure about Walz is the same at about 40. People just didn't know much about this guy. He was, literally, there were many people who, when his name came up, they said, I don't know. Who? I don't know what to think about him. So there you have it. Georgia, according to one poll, this is an AARP poll, is now Trump and Harris tied in Georgia. It looked like Trump was doing pretty well in Georgia. Now, according to this poll, at least, he is tied. AARP has Trump up by 2 in the general election. So numbers all over the place right now. It may take a little while for them to settle till we get a good sense of what's truly going on out there. 21 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock. Let me tell you about the folks at Grace Point Healthcare. If you need healthcare that's affordable, if you want healthcare that is comprehensive, and if you want healthcare that is convenient, healthcare you can actually get in a timely way. Well, you need to think about the folks at Grace Point Healthcare. They have medicine delivered the old-fashioned way. That's the way they operate. It's, time for kids to go back to school, and if your kiddo needs a sports physical of some kind, Grace Point provides complete physicals for kids of all ages. Maybe you're going on an international trip. Grace Point offers complete travel immunizations and is CDC certified for yellow fever and other international immunization protocols. And this is so important, because they will see you the same or next day, you won't have to wait days or weeks to see a doctor. I mean, what good is having a doctor if you can't see him when you need to see them? If you ever called to set up an appointment, they say, yeah, we're accepting appointments 6 months from now, or 2 months from now, or, even a couple of weeks from now. That's no good. If you want convenient medicine, Grace Point is the place to go. Delivered the old-fashioned way. They're on Main Street in Franklin, 615-599-6868. That's 599-6868 to set up your appointment.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionality, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
An almost 50-year-old cold murder case in California is cold no more. And we'll have today's money news. Those stories coming up at 4:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is 25 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Brian Wilson in the chair. We got Jay Harper back doing the news, and Chris Weber in the control room pushing all the blinky buttons, which includes our Wayback Machine, which has its own new room. It's so powerful and big that it has to have its own room.
And HVAC system. Got to keep it cool.
Yeah, that's right. And somebody wrote in and said they had an idea of where we could get plutonium.
Yeah.
I don't think we should engage with that person, quite frankly. But the
that
FBI
may be a trap.
The FBI will be showing up at our doorstep. The Wayback Machine, really very powerful mechanics. And it took us, hours to put this together.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. At least a couple.
Yeah. Every once in a while you get a story and you just go, what? Are you kidding me? Is this even possible? Is this true? But this apparently is true. And, it's just like, it's what we call in the news business the Hey Martha story. And I read it and you say, hey Martha, did you hear about this?
That's different from the Don't Look Ethel story, right?
Yeah, don't. That's the kind of story you don't want to share. This is one
gotcha.
this is like if you see it on TV, say, hey, Ethel, did you see that? Hey, Martha, did you see that? You want. When I was in television, they would say, put a good "Hey Martha" at the bottom of it. That's sort of like, somebody, "Hey Martha, are you watching this?" Get their attention. Well, this is definitely a "Hey Martha." A mother was cut from a python after she was swallowed alive Saturday in Indonesia. Grief. I'm not making this up. This comes from TMZ. The victim is identified only as Farida, had been walking through the forest near her home in Kalimpang, Indonesia, when she was apparently attacked by a python, bitten by a python. Now, per the outlet, the mother of four was then strangled by the snake and swallowed whole. According to CBS News, village head Suwardi Rossi told AFP that the woman had gone missing Thursday night and didn't return home, which led to search efforts. The woman's husband said she found her belongings, which made him suspicious. The villagers then searched the area. They soon spotted a python with a very large belly. They agreed to cut open the python's stomach, and as soon as they did, her head was immediately visible inside. According to the network, Farida was found fully clothed within the snake. Now, this is apparently a big old 17-foot python. That's pretty big for a python. Reticulated pythons have dozens of sharp, curved teeth, which they use to latch hold of their prey before squeezing them to death. So once they get a hold of you, you can't get out of the grip.
Yeah.
And then they just wrap themselves around you and squeeze them. Every time you take a breath and exhale, it tightens and tightens and tightens to the point where you can't breathe anymore and you suffocate. The snakes, which regularly grow to lengths over 16 feet, have been known to eat pigs, monkeys, and other mammals. And so I'm going, wow, is that really possible? And then this last line is sort of like unbelievable. Are you ready? The woman is the fifth person to be swallowed by a python in the country since 2017.
Yikes.
2017 is, that's not that long ago. and 5 people in Indonesia have been swallowed by pythons. Man, and these apparently are all certified, verifiable cases.
I've seen internet pictures and articles and stuff about it, and I always thought, oh, yeah, right, that's fake. But apparently it's not.
Apparently it's
Man,
not.
That's scary.
I know. This is why I don't trust snakes. I don't like any kind of snake. But if I ever ran into a 16 or 17, how do you get caught by a snake? Because, obviously you can outrun the snake.
Especially one that big.
Yeah, they don't move that quick. What happened? How did you get bitten by this thing and to the point where you couldn't get away?
Unless it was in some heavy brush or whatever, just waiting, and then it just struck as she
just sort of jumped down on top of you and bit you.
Yeah. Wow.
I don't know, but a scary thing, and I'm just glad that this is in Indonesia, not in Middle Tennessee.
Oof.
That's right. Snakes. It had to be snakes.
I hate snakes.
I do too. 30 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7.
Good afternoon. It's exactly 4:30, and I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. Mostly sunny. We are at 89 degrees now. A complete forecast and the latest traffic report are coming up. For 47 years, there's been a mystery in Ventura County, California. Who murdered 3 women? Well, cold case detectives say they have found their man. Turns out he was sitting in jail accused of a decades-old murder in North Carolina. We turn now to ABC's Alex Stone.
Over many decades, Warren Alexander of Mississippi was a long-haul nationwide trucker. Already accused of a cold case murder in North Carolina, now he's been linked through DNA to allegedly strangling 3 women in Ventura County in 1977. All were sex workers. Local police chief Mike Federico says a lot has changed in Ventura County in 47 years.
So what hasn't changed is our commitment to provide justice.
Investigators believe there were probably more victims yet to be linked.
We now turn to today's closing money news. For that, here's Daria Albinger.
From ABC News Wall Street now, stocks soared, erasing most of this week's losses. The Dow jumped 683 points, the S&P was up 120, and the Nasdaq rose 464. Earnings season rolls on with Expedia reporting better than expected numbers just after the close. A better than expected weekly jobless claims report helped push the markets higher. First-time claims fell by 17,000 to 223,000 last week. That's fewer, though, than the 240,000 claims that analysts surveyed by FactSet were predicting. Weekly unemployment claims are considered a proxy for layoffs, and although they've been trending higher lately, they are still historically low. A bleak July employment report was one of the main drivers of Friday's big plunge for stocks, which went into Monday's trading. Home prices are still high, but it's a little cheaper to finance that big purchase. Freddie Mac says the rate fell to 6.47%, the lowest level in more than a year.
That is the latest news. Traffic, weather, they are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Well, let me tell you about the folks over at Stoltz Co. You know, they're the place to go if you want to put a pole barn up, and I'm telling you, the high-quality stuff. But I want you to think a little bit differently. Do you own land? Do you have some land out in the country? You want to do something with that land? Put money into real assets by building on your land. And the folks at Stoltz Co. have got great ideas. Maybe you want a place to hang out on weekends, get away from the city. They can build you a barn dominium. A barn dominium is like a house that sort of looks like a barn. They are really cool. And they're big, hot demand right now, but you should see what they've done for some folks. They can, of course, do your traditional pole barn. They can build you a big garage. They can build you a space, an equestrian space, or maybe you just have a big event space and you go out there and have parties on the weekend. Whatever it is that you want, they can do it for you, and they will do it really, really, really well. They use only the highest quality stuff, and they have they don't cut any corners. So they're really, really sharp with what they do. And by the way, this is way better than trying to build something with lumber right now. Have you seen the price of lumber? So listen, here's the number you want to call. You just call this number, 615-622-5992. And do me a favor and go to their website. Take a look at some of the things they've done from others. And then if you own some land, think about the things that Stoltz Co. can do to make that land more usable. Go to stoltzco.com. That's STOLTZCO, stoltzco.com.
The Guaranteed Offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a Guaranteed Offer and start packing.
It is 38 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock. Brian Wilson in the chair. How you doing this afternoon? You doing okay? Let's get you home and get you home safely. We're still trying to sort of learn who Tim Walz is. I mean, I saw last night our friend Pete Hegseth was just on fire about this pick because there is a real criticism, and I think it's valid criticism, of Tim Walz as being somebody who has perhaps can be successfully accused of stolen valor. You know, in the military, they take that very seriously. I've never served in the military myself, and I wish that I had now, but I never did. But I have great admiration for those who have, and I know that one of the things that is deeply important to them is that you don't claim things in your military career that were not true. You know, like I did this and I did that. I served here. I served that. I held this rank. You know, and maybe you didn't. And I think that it really is true. He is claiming that he held certain ranks that he didn't hold. I mean, he was a command sergeant major, he says, but he never completed the school. And when he decided to leave his unit as they were being deployed to Iraq, he didn't want any part of that, so he bailed out. They had to reduce him in rank because he had not yet completed the school. It was a rank given to him conditionally, and by conditionally means he had to finish the school before it became official. So a conditional rank. It's something they do in the military when you're going to school. But he never completed the school, and he abandoned his unit and left the military just as they were being sent to Iraq. And so I heard Pete Hegseth use the term Tim A. Walz, and I think that sticks, right? I mean, you can call him Tampon Tim for wanting to put tampons in male restrooms of fourth graders, for goodness sakes. But, you know, that's something that really sticks. And by the way, in people, you know, in the military who have served in the military, this resonates. This is something that really resonates. So we're still trying to learn so much about this guy, but one of the things we're finding is he's pretty progressive, and he's claimed a lot of things in his military career. I mean, every time he opens his mouth, he said, "I was a command master sergeant." No, he wasn't. He wasn't. You sometimes can learn something about a candidate by looking at who's really, really, truly excited that person has been chosen. From townhall.com. The propaganda campaign, heavily aided by the leftist press, is well underway to paint Minnesota Governor Tim Walz as a normal, folksy, that's the word, everybody loves that word, Democrat, after Vice President Kamala Harris selected him as her 2024 running mate on Tuesday. But the organization's taking credit for the Walz choice is telling and bolsters his far-left record in Minnesota. It also explains why Harris didn't choose Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro. Harris choosing Walz as a running mate has shown the world that DSA and our allies, DSA, what is the DSA? It's a leftist organization. DSA and U.S. left more broadly made it clear the change is needed. DSA members organized in our workplace and unions to realign the labor movement to support Palestinian liberation, the Democrat Socialist of America statement released. DSA. Democrat Socialists of America. They're thrilled with this choice. The uncommitted movement, in which the DSA members played crucial roles nationally and in multiple states, pressured the Democrat establishment into choosing a new candidate and backing down from a potential VP with direct ties to the Israeli Defense Force, and who would have ferociously supported the ongoing genocide in Palestine. They continued, our demands remain the same. Harris must call for immediate ceasefire in Palestine and put in place an embargo on all arms to Israel. We are raising expectations. Again, that comes from the Democrat Socialists of America. Congressional Squad member Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Ilhan Omar are also thrilled with the choice. Vice President Harris made an excellent choice in Governor Walz as her running mate. Together they will govern effectively, inclusively, and boldly for the American people. They won't back down under tight odds either, from health care to school lunch, wrote Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. So, again, you can tell a lot about somebody by who is most excited that they have been chosen. Fox News 5 controversy surrounding vice presidential nominee Tim Walz, from DUI to COVID fraud. We've mentioned some of this, but it bears re-mentioning again. There was a 1995 DUI arrest. He was a school teacher then. I mean, I don't know about you, but if a school teacher gets stopped for going 95 or 96 miles an hour in a 50-mile-an-hour zone and blew on the breathalyzer a legal drunk, I don't think he would be a school teacher much longer. September 23rd, 1995, Walz was working as a teacher in his home state of Nebraska, pulled over going 96 in a 55. In comments to reporters, Walz's 2006 campaign for Congress in Minnesota insisted he was not drunk. The police reports tell a different story and blamed it on a misunderstanding with police over Walz's deafness, something that he said has been surgically corrected since. He initially said it was something that he picked up when he was in the military. But he hears okay now because it's apparently been, quote unquote, surgically corrected. I need to get me some of that surgically corrected hearing. What I need. But a state trooper's report obtained by Alpha News contradicts those claims. This is what the state trooper wrote at the time. A strong odor of alcoholic beverage was detected emitting from Mr. Walz's breath and person. The trooper indicated that Walz submitted to and failed both a field sobriety test and a preliminary breath test. He was eventually taken to Chadron Hospital for blood tests before being booked into the Dowse County Jail. Walz initially charged with driving under the influence and speeding, I'd say, but he pleaded guilty to a single count of reckless driving. Must have been one of those liberal prosecutors at the time. Much criticism of the way he handled the Black Lives Matter riots. Walz critic says his handling of the Minnesota riots after the 2020 killing of George Floyd was a failure and a low point of his first term as governor. He's been a disaster for Minnesota and is by far the most partisan governor I can remember having, said Minnesota GOP Chairman David Hahn to Fox News Digital. He did nothing to try to stop the riots going on in Minneapolis. I think he was fearful of alienating his progressive base who were supporting the riots. Kamala Harris at the same time was raising money for the rioters. Walz deployed rather the National Guard to stop the violence, which included the torching of a police station. But GOP lawmakers have said both the governor and Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey were slow to act. He waited 3 days. Well, you know what he said about that? See if I have the clip here. It's pretty amazing what he said. First of all, he says that the mayor didn't know what he was asking for. Oh, I have it here, I know, but I got it. But one way or the other, I do have the soundbite where he said, quite frankly, the mayor didn't know what he was wanting. And what he wanted, he would have gotten a bunch of people a bunch of them were not well-trained soldiers. They were just cooks, 19-year-old cooks. He disparaged the National Guard that he once served in for some 24 years because it was convenient for him to do so at that time. COVID lockdowns, man, you think that Mayor Munchkin was bad about some of the things that he did to us during COVID. In his first governor, Walz oversaw Minnesota's response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Like other Democrat leaders, he favored heavy-handed pandemic and restrictions, including lockdowns and mask mandates. He set up a hotline. We've actually played the actual hotline recording to report residents who violated COVID-19 mandates that he set down. In other words, if you violate I want your neighbors to snitch on you if you have violated my COVID-19 restrictions. That was his position. And people did. Love that. Is that the kind of governor you want? Somebody who wants neighbor snitching on neighbor? There were pandemic fraud issues that passed after the pandemic. And they've also accused him of interference in police shooting case just recently. He said the governor was involved in this in a way that the prosecutor said they'd never seen a governor get involved before. Walz advanced radical LGBTQ agenda as governor, signed a bill that doesn't expressly prohibit pedophilia as sexual orientation. And the folks in the LGBTQ community said he is a true ally of the queer community, their words. He signed a bill that does not specifically prohibit pedophilia as a recognized sexual orientation. After Walz was announced as the number two, Harris's number two, Minnesota State Representative Lee Fink, a male Democrat Farmer Labor Party member who identifies as female, and the chair of the Minnesota Queer Legislators Caucus, took to the media to express his unwavering support. From the moment I was sworn in as a member of the Minnesota legislature, it became clear to me that Governor Walz was committed to being a true ally for the queer community, ensuring all trans folks have access to gender-affirming care and the tools they need to thrive. I don't have a problem with adults going and having sex change operations. Let's call them what they are. The gay community wants to call them gender-affirming care because that sounds so warm and nice. We're just affirming the gender. But what they're doing is they want to have it for any kid, even if their parents are against it. That's his position. And, if you're an adult and you want to go change your sex, God, knock yourself out. Yeah, you can't really change your sex. But if you want to go through all that gender reassignment surgery, that's fine. Make that decision as an adult. But he's in favor of making it for children. If a child, 7, 8 years old, decides that they want to go through the gender change therapy, even if their parents disagree, in Minnesota, the governor was in support of that child. Some people think it's a real gift for Republicans. That would, of course, assume that there's an effective messaging on the part of Republicans to go after him and to point these things out. But there's a lot to learn about Tim Walz, and you're not going to like much of it. 51 minutes now past the hour. Did you know that gold is up 78% over the last 5 years and silver is up 99% in the same time period? Meanwhile, the U.S. dollar has lost 25% of its value since 2020. The government-induced inflation is stealing your wealth, and it doesn't seem that Washington, D.C. has any plans to stop it. Gold and other precious metals are a great shield against that inflation. During the election year, you'll hear politicians promise that they'll rein in the spending, but that's just campaign talk. They can't help themselves. That's why no matter who is in office, gold protects you from the D.C. spending sprees. And where do you get that protection? Well, reach out to my friends, Kyle and Hannah at Nashville Gold & Coin. They will take good care of you and keep you well informed on all precious metal opportunities. Act now and get your shield against out-of-control government spending. Go to NashvilleGoldandCoin.com. That's NashvilleGoldandCoin.com to set up your appointment today.
The Guaranteed Offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a Guaranteed Offer and start packing.
Donald Trump had an extensive news conference today announcing impending debates with his Democratic opponent and his opponent, Ms. Harris, and Tim Walz speaking before union workers today. And DNA strikes again in an almost 50-year-old cold cereal murder case. We'll have those stories at 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Yeah, you mentioned the press conference by Donald Trump that took place this afternoon. If you're just getting into your car and you say, well, I need to hear more about that. Well, don't you worry one little bit. We've got it for you coming up next after the news at the top of the 5 o'clock hour. It is now 57 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock. DT McCall, here's what you need to know. There are 5 convenient locations near you. One of them is near you. I mean, I'm certain of it. They've been around for more than a century. This is a company that really loves to do business with other Middle Tennessee companies. They like to sell their products. And, don't you want to do business with a company in Middle Tennessee that does business with other companies in Middle Tennessee to keep the dollars local in the local economy? Of course, that's what you want. You don't want your dollars going to some big box store with a corporate headquarters in Delaware, do you? No, you don't. Let me tell you, they will treat you honestly. They'll tell you exactly what something costs, and it'll be a good price, and you'll be well satisfied with that price. But they're not going to then later upcharge you and nickel and dime you for things like, delivery and setup and haul away of the old thing that you don't need anymore. They don't play those kind of games. So if you need furnitures, if you need appliances, if you need a mower, I love my big Cub Cadet mower. That thing is a beast. It's a tank. And you'll love yours as well. They're really tremendous. You go to DT McCall's. Find out about their 5 convenient locations and all the things they can do for you in your home at their website, dtmccalls.com.
Good afternoon. It's 5 p.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. Partly sunny. We are at 88 degrees on Music Row. A weather forecast and a traffic report are coming up. At a news conference today at Mar-a-Lago in Florida, Donald Trump says that he has agreed to 3 September debates against Democratic rival Kamala Harris and says he hopes that she also agrees to them. Here is the former president when asked today about worries there won't be a peaceful transfer of power if he loses in November.
Of course there'll be a peaceful transfer, and there was last time, and there'll be a peaceful transfer. I just hope we're going to have honest elections, that's all.
Vice President Kamala Harris and her running mate addressed only a handful of UAW workers in Wayne, Michigan today.
Good afternoon, UAW. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Oh, it's good to be in the House of Labor. It is good to be in the House of Labor.
Now, in a crime case that has lasted for many, many years, a suspected serial killer who's already in custody in North Carolina for a cold case murder there has now been charged in the 1977 slayings of 3 women who were strangled to death in California. 73-year-old Warren Alexander has been extradited to California for the charges. Ventura County District Attorney Eric Narasenko says a break in the case came from matched DNA evidence.
Detectives with the cold case unit on behalf of the Ventura County Sheriff's Department uploaded crucial DNA evidence into that nationwide DNA database. And in this case, a match occurred, specifically a match to Warren Luther Alexander.
Now back here in Tennessee, a major development has happened for anyone convicted on a marijuana charge here in Tennessee. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation notified district attorneys all over the state that the testing process in some past cases for marijuana evidence was not conclusive. This means some marijuana convictions will now be overturned. Marijuana remains illegal in Tennessee, but concerns over the testing of evidence has prosecutors reassessing many convictions. And finally, authorities in Dixon County, they're still on the hunt for this inmate after he escaped from his roadwork detail in the Slayton area yesterday. Authorities say Eric Robinson, he's about 6 foot tall, long brown hair, brown eyes. He was locked up for nonviolent charges. However, police say until this guy's found, they are asking neighbors to keep their doors locked and stay inside. And if you think you see the guy, do not approach. Just go ahead and call the police. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
It is 6.5 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Hey, everybody. I am your friend and radio buddy, Brian Wilson, and I'm here with you all the way till 7 o'clock. You may have noticed I'm just stapling the last little pieces together for.
Is that what that was?
That's what that was. That was me. This is me running a stapler. Because it's I am constantly searching the World Wide Web for the very latest in information to make sure that I'm not giving you old information. I'm giving you new information. And so, I make sure you got to me a little quicker than I expected. And I was still stapling. I just got one more. Okay, there we go.
It is. It's official.
There we go. Yeah. We do things the old-fashioned way. We use paper. I go through, it's unbelievable how much paper I use up. Every day, this is no joke. I print out about a small telephone book worth of paper. And people are going, telephone book? What's that? Nobody knows what a telephone book is. And when's the last time you used a telephone book? But a Sears catalog? No, that doesn't work either. I don't know.
I can't think of anything.
I can't think of it.
People would relate to nowadays.
But it's about 2 inches thick of stuff that I print out every day. And because I want to make sure I have the very latest information. We have proprietary equipment that scans the World Wide Web to bring you stuff that other people look over. They don't see it. They don't find it. We've got it. Trump gave a press conference today. It was a wide-ranging press conference. It was pretty typical Trump. Not particularly focused, but there's news to be made out of the things that he had to say. There's no doubt about that. There are going to be apparently some debates. You ready? Here's what Trump had to say about debates. One of them seems to be solid. The rest not quite locked down. At least he's committed, but it doesn't look like the other side has committed to them as yet. The latest, here we go.
I think it's very important to have debates, and we've agreed with Fox on a date of September 4th. We've agreed with NBC on September 10th, and we've agreed with ABC on September 25th. So we have those 3 dates, and we have spoken to the heads of the network, and it's all been confirmed. The other side has to agree to the terms. They may or may not agree. I don't know if they're going to agree. She hasn't done an interview. She can't do an interview. She's barely competent, and she can't do an interview. We also have CBS is going to do the vice presidential debate. So CBS will do vice presidential, and I have to tell you, J.D. Vance has really stepped up. He's doing a fantastic job.
All right, so here's what we know. The one that seems to be locked in the best, that both sides have agreed to, is ABC. And I know you're going, well, why would he go on ABC with George Stephanopoulos? I have the answer. George Stephanopoulos has been pushed aside. He won't be doing the debate. ABC News says that both Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump and his Democrat counterpart Kamala Harris have agreed to meet in a debate on September 10th. The network's announcement on Thursday came shortly after Trump told a news conference that he's agreed to 3 debates with Harris in September on separate networks. The Harris campaign had no immediate comment. Trump is rejoining the ABC debate after posting on his social media network that he would not appear on the network, citing a lawsuit he had filed against George Stephanopoulos. His decision sets up a highly anticipated moment in an election where the first debate led to massive changes in the race, with Democrat President Joe Biden ending his re-election bid and endorsing Harris. I think it's very important to have debates. You just heard him say all that. So, again, here's the thing. ABC says that David Muir and Lindsey Davis will moderate the September 10th contest. That's the same date that Trump and Biden had agreed to on their second and final debate before Biden's decision to put the event in doubt. Any debate promises to take on extra importance, with polls showing a very tight race between former president and the current vice president. While Harris has ridden a wave of excitement among Democrats since inheriting the mantle from Biden, she is yet to appear at a news conference or give an interview to any journalist. So Republicans, as you might imagine, are making that an issue. Okay, so there you go. That's the first news. So ABC is on. NBC would be on September 10th if they agree to it. ABC would be September 25th. Fox on September 4th if she agrees to it. And the vice presidential debate They didn't mention a time, but if that happens, it will be on CBS. I'd like to see J.D. Vance against Waltz. That'd be pretty good. I sometimes enjoy the vice presidential debates more than I do the presidential debates. So anyway, here we go. What else did we get out of the Trump press conference? Well, somebody asked him a question. Why aren't you on the campaign trail? Why aren't you out doing more? And he said, well, I'm doing stuff right now. He said incredulously.
I'm speaking to you on phones. I'm speaking to radio. I'm speaking to television. Television's coming over here. Excuse me, what are we doing right now? She's not doing any news conference. You know why she's not doing it? Because she can't do a news conference. She doesn't know how to do a news conference. She's not smart enough to do a news conference.
He keeps going after her intellect. I wonder how that's going to play out. We'll see how that works. Trump said on the issue of taxes, this is big stuff, actually, not getting enough coverage. If this were to happen, this would be huge and a thing that would really draw in a lot of voters. He says, look, if you are a senior, I'm not going to tax your Social Security or your social or your retirement income. No taxes on seniors. That would be, he said, well, there's a lot of ways we can make that up. And then the other part of it is, if you work in a business where you rely on tips, that he doesn't want to tax the tips. So here we go again. Trump talking about, while Harris is talking about, increasing taxes, he's talking about cutting taxes on seniors and those who work in service industry jobs where they rely on tips.
We're going to have no tax on seniors, Social Security, and we're going to have no tax on tips. Very simple. And we are a country that has so many different ways to make money. We have under our feet more liquid gold, I call it oil, and the presidency was taken away from Joe Biden.
Excuse me, most people do call it oil. He said liquid gold. I call it oil. Okay.
Liquid gold, I call it oil and gas, than any country in the world, much more than Saudi Arabia, much more than Russia. We have so many different ways we can make money. We're not going to hurt our seniors with Social Security, and we're not going to charge them tax.
All right. I think that is a winning campaign thing, and I hope that gets more coverage than it has been getting. And so let's see what else. 5 takeaways. Here is thehill.com. The debates. He goads Harris for lack of news conferences. And that is a very valid thing. I think it's day 18 now since she became the nominee. At least in name only. Now she is the bona fide nominee of the Democrat Party. But she has not done anything that you could call a news conference. She's done nothing that is unscripted except for a few momentary drop-bys for the press corps that sits outside the stairs to her plane when she gets on the plane. Sometimes she'll give you a 15-second soundbite and then run. And I mean, she literally almost runs away, so she didn't have to answer any questions. So there's that. Trump seeks to paint Harris and Walz as radicals. He contended Harris has destroyed San Francisco during her time as the city's district attorney. He also lambasted the vice president for her record on the border, citing the once widespread description of her as the border czar. But Trump was also emphatic in going after Walz, who said has been heavy into the transgender world and whom he would generally cast as a far-left figure. The two together are part of, quote, the radical left, Trump said. There's no question of his portrayal of Harris and Walz will continue to be a main theme of Republican attacks. Harris and Walz, of course, are working hard to counter those jabs. I don't think they're going to be successful in that. And then there was this unlikely defense of President Biden. He said, I'm no fan of Biden. He said, but I think he's been done wrong. I thought this was probably one of the more interesting moments in the press conference.
Presidency was taken away from Joe Biden. And I'm no Biden fan, but I'll tell you what, from a constitutional standpoint, from any standpoint you look at, they took the presidency away. And people were saying he lost after the debate. He couldn't win. Well, I don't know that that's true necessarily. But whether he could win or he couldn't win, he had the right to run. And they took it away. They said they're going to use the 25th Amendment. They're going to hit you hard. Either we can do it the nice. I know exactly, because I know a lot of people on the other side, believe it or not. And they said, we'll do it the nice way or we'll do it the hard way. And he said, all right. So that, I mean, they've really taken, what they've done is pretty incredible. And now I'm running against somebody else, and we're leading. So I'm not complaining. I'm saying it's for a country with a constitution that we cherish this constitution. To have done it this way is pretty severe, pretty horrible. You would have thought they would have gone out to a vote. They would have had a primary system. They would have done something, but to just take it away from him like he was a child. And he's a very angry man right now, I can tell you that. He's not happy with Obama, and he's not happy with Nancy Pelosi, crazy Nancy. She is crazy, too. She's not happy with any of the people that told him that you've got to leave. He's very unhappy, very angry, and I think he also blames her.
Well, he is angry. I mean, we haven't seen him. He's right about that. We haven't seen Biden at all to speak of. I mean, I think maybe he's been spotted a couple of times briefly, but he's not doing events. He's not talking. He's not going out. I think he is. I think he's probably in the White House licking his wounds. I think he feels like this was taken away from him. And if the stories are correct, and I think they might be, the story you hear is that Obama said, look, we can do this the nice way. We can do this the hard way. If you want to do it the nice way, then you just hand it over. Otherwise, we're going to go the 25th Amendment route, Joe. I'm sorry, but you cannot run. And I think he said to Obama, okay, but I'm going to endorse Kamala. Well, that's the last thing that Biden wanted. It's almost like, you take me out of the race, I'm going to spite you by endorsing Kamala Harris. And I think Obama wanted an open convention. And the story one hears, and again, who knows, maybe we'll hear the truth someday. The story we hear is that Biden endorsed Kamala Harris and got the Democrats to surround their arms around her and go with her so that there wouldn't be an open convention, because I don't know what Obama wanted, but he didn't get it. And you notice initially Obama did not endorse Kamala Harris. There was a real delay. He just simply said, we appreciate what the president has done by making a selfless decision. He never said that he endorsed Kamala, never said that at all. He was one of the few Democrats who did not endorse. So it seems like it's got a little everything sort of fits in with this narrative that Biden endorsed Kamala Harris to spite Barack Obama. And who knows, maybe we will find out someday. Well, anyway, I thought it was interesting that President Trump decided to go out there and sort of have a sympathetic moment for Joe Biden. He says he's an angry little man. He's an angry little duck. You know he's a lame duck. He's an angry lame duck. 20 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Restoration Wellness and Med Spa, they can help you lose weight. Let's just get right down to it. Restoration Wellness is a leader in weight loss management in Wilson County. They're conveniently located just off the interstate in Wilson County. Call the Restoration Wellness team today at this number, 615-470-8124, or visit them at their website, restorationwellnessmedspa.com, to book a consultation today. Now, I went through the consultation. I am one of the 1,000 patients, more than 1,000 patients, who have already seen life-changing results from the weight loss management program there. I am down 25 pounds. And every time I get on the scales, it's good news. When's the last time you were able to say that? My friends Carly and Jamie will take care of you like you're part of the family. They are such nice people. Weight loss can increase your energy levels, improve your quality of sleep, enhance your overall health. Customized treatments. This is not one size fits all. They will consider your unique needs, your lifestyle, and your goals. So whether your goal is to lose stubborn body fat or improve your overall health, Restoration Wellness has a solution for you. Learn about the newest technology, the new methods of weight loss management. Just go to restorationwellnessmedspa.com.
The Guaranteed Offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer, You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
It appears some presidential debates are coming together. Also, new police body camera footage released from the Trump assassination attempt and a cannabis conundrum in Tennessee. We'll have those stories at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's, I was calling 25 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock on Super Talk. Get you home safely. While you're doing that, we're going to give you some news and information. So the question is, when is Kamala Harris going to speak to the press? She hasn't done that. I think that was part of what Donald Trump wanted to do today by holding this press conference. He wanted to sort of point out that, hey, here I am. Hit me with whatever you got. I'll give you an answer. And she runs from the press and has not done any press in like 18 days. There have been some reporting that's been done by people who are on the inside with her campaign. Reporter Jasmine Wright told MSNBC on Thursday that Vice President Kamala Harris's damaging moments from past interviews with the press were on her mind and on her team's mind as she is yet to grant an interview or hold a press conference. Jasmine said, I think the public is expecting, or certainly the media is expecting, her to engage more with reporters now that she has replaced Biden at the top of the ticket. But apparently they go back to things that have happened in the past. We've seen some kind of damaging moments when speaking to the press, particularly that first interview she did in 2021 with Lester Holt about her work on immigration. Wright said of the infamous moment when Harris scrambled when she was pressed on visiting the southern border. Remember that? She said, he said, but you haven't gone to the borders. Well, I haven't gone to Europe either. Well. I think that's something that's always been on the mind of her office and the vice president herself. Of course, I hadn't heard this. We've reported that she's been doing some media training. Media training. And part of what they do in media training, and I, by the way, I have done some media training in my day. There were times between gigs that I did in journalism or talk radio where I was actually a media trainer, and I taught people how to go out and deliver a message effectively, and how to craft that message, and how to, sort of guide your way through the tricky world of doing those on-camera interviews. And media training is important. So maybe they took her aside. The first thing I would tell her is, don't wing it. Talk and learn how to pivot. She doesn't know how to pivot. Wright was also asked if Harris would be holding her own press conference soon. And she said, I think actually that's the question of the hour. So it's not that she hasn't engaged the press, but it's certainly been on the vice president's own terms. She goes back and talks to the press on the plane, but those are typically off-the-record comments. That does happen. And I've been on press planes where that happens, and it's always off the record. It's just, sort of an informal chit-chat, usually not very newsy. If she does want to make, this is what I've been talking about. If she does want to make a statement on the news of the day, we've seen her approach the press under the wing of Air Force Two to give a statement, but she turns away before answering any questions. She runs away like a scared little bunny rabbit. So what's going to happen? Well, I mean, it is these past things that she said that are so troubling. Because, you can't walk away from the things you said in the past. And to that end, I want you to know that we here on The Drive have prepared some special technology to get at some of the unbelievable, crazy things that Kamala Harris has said in the past. We want to make sure that we hold her accountable for the positions that she held back then that she's now denying that she ever held. And we have developed, we call it the Drive's proprietary Wayback Machine. The title, it's a working title. It may need a little work. But we will engage, I promise you, right after the news, we will engage the Wayback Machine, and we will have it find for us all of those things that Kamala Harris once said that she now regrets. Apparently she needs some media training for. It is 29, let's call it 30 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock. Time for the news.
Good afternoon. It is exactly 5:30. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. Partly sunny, 88 degrees, a forecast, and a traffic report. As usual, they are coming up. Former President Donald Trump says he has agreed to 3 debates against Vice President Harris on Fox News on September 4th, on ABC on September 10th, and on NBC September 25th. Vice President Harris, as she was about to board a flight from Detroit to Arizona, says she has agreed to the debate hosted by ABC News, but is the vice president also open to those other debates?
I am happy to have that conversation about an additional debate for after September 10th, for sure.
Police body camera and dash camera video just released shows the moments police in Butler County, Pennsylvania confronted the gunman who opened fire on former President Trump during his July 13th rally. The footage was released in response to a public records request from news agencies, including ABC News. ABC's Aaron Katursky says the footage demonstrates what lawmakers have called a communication breakdown between police agencies that day.
One of the body camera pieces of footage concludes this was an F-up. And that, I think, is the sentiment of many officers, many members of the public, certainly members of Congress, who have still yet to get a good answer as to why this unfolded in the first place.
Now back here in Tennessee, a major development has happened for anyone who was convicted of a marijuana charge in Tennessee. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation notifying district attorneys across the state that the testing process in some past cases for marijuana evidence was not conclusive. This means some marijuana convictions are now going to be overturned. Marijuana does remain illegal in Tennessee, but concerns over the testing of evidence has prosecutors reassessing some convictions. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
I got a question for you. What was it like the last time you went to an auto repair shop? Was it stinky? Was it smelly? Was it greasy? Were there old rags lying around and a filthy countertop that you didn't want to touch? Another thing that stinks at repair shops are those repair shops that keep your car forever. They're not honest, and they don't call you back when they say they will. If that was your last experience at a vehicle repair shop, well, listen, you need to take a look at Eurofix. They take the stink out of European auto repair. At Eurofix, you get a free 15-minute no-wrench inspection with an estimate at every visit, no high-pressure sales tactics. At Eurofix, you get a 3-year nationwide warranty and a free loaner car with every repair appointment. And never pay dealer prices. Eurofix now located in Franklin, 100 Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and their newest location, Mount Juliet. Call 844-EUROFIX. That's 844-EUROFIX, or visit myEurofix.com and tell them your friend and radio buddy Brian Wilson sent you.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
37 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock. We have a temperature outside of 87 degrees. Not too bad, actually. Not too bad. Let's enjoy this little respite in the super hot weather that we've had. I think this weekend is supposed to be pretty nice.
Yeah, beautiful, I think.
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, I am looking forward to it. Well, we here at Super Talk 99.7, and especially Chris Webber and I here on The Drive, want to make sure that we hold our politicians accountable for the things they have said in the past. I mean, because in an election year, they want to run away from the things that they've said in the past. We just read a story about Kamala Harris and some of the past stupid things she said that she doesn't want to be held accountable for. But we're not going to let her off the hook. And so in preparation for the rest of this campaign season, we are ready now to engage what we call the Super Talk 99.7 proprietary Wayback Machine. So put on your goggles, put on your hard hat, Chris, and let's engage the flux capacitors.
We're going back in time.
I get dizzy.
Remember, they're not cheap sound effects.
It's alive!
It's alive!
It's alive!
It's not cheap sound effects. It's sound design.
Absolutely.
That's right.
The big difference.
That's right. So now that we have engaged the machine, let's see what we can find out that Kamala Harris said in the past that we're now going to hold her accountable for. So, I mean, this is number one. She admits freely that she's a radical.
And yeah, I am a radical.
So there's no doubt about it. She doesn't she doesn't deny it at all.
And yeah, I am a radical.
And she's very, very proud of Bidenomics.
That, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone else, that is called Bidenomics. That is called Bidenomics, and we are very proud of Bidenomics.
Very proud. Well, how are you with Bidenomics, given the fact that, your groceries cost you now 20% more than they did when Joe Biden took office? Your gasoline is more expensive. Virtually everything has gone up in value, and it costs you more to buy the things that you need. How have Bidenomics worked out for you? Well, she's proud of Bidenomics. So if you're not happy with the state of the economy, you need to know that they think everything is just fine. Sitting there, at the Naval Observatory, which she doesn't pay a penny in rent. She has all of her transportations provided for her. I'm sure from her perspective, it looks real good. She's the vice president of the United States, in case you missed that. And she thinks Bidenomics are just fine. But for working people like you and me, we know that Bidenomics has been a disaster. And she's been very clear in the past about some of the things that she wants to do if she becomes president, if she got the true power. You look at the things she said in the past, that gives you an indication of what she'll do if she becomes president all on her own. Like how about, she says it's a carbon fee. Ladies and gentlemen, call it what it is, a carbon tax.
Under my plan, there will also be a carbon fee.
Fee.
And that money, a lot of it is going to go to the communities, and this is part of my environmental justice approach to the issue. We're going to do it in a way
environmental justice
that is about what we've always done with industry, which is to say that there has to be some connection between the fee and bad behaviors, and there has to be, and that we have to monitor whether it's going to be passed on to consumers. But I'm going to tell you that should never be the reason not to actually put a fee, and in particular, carbon fee.
It's not a fee; it's a tax. If you put a carbon tax on certain corporations because they happen to use gasoline-powered vehicles, right? Guess who that gets passed on to? That's the thing she never thinks about. She never thinks beyond the end of her nose. Oh yeah, we want to have a carbon tax. Well, that carbon tax will be passed on to you, the consumer, every step of the way. She loves to control the language and the phrases that we all use.
You must have the courage to object when they use that term, radical Islamic terrorism, which ignores how Muslims have overwhelmingly been the greatest victims of terror. And we must also have the courage courage to reject that term illegal alien. I have seen some of the worst of criminal behavior. I have seen the worst of crime. An undocumented immigrant is not a criminal.
You know, they're just here illegally. And by the way, the term used in the law to describe people who are not citizens of this country, they are called aliens. They are aliens. And if somebody is into this country and they're not here legally, then what would they be called? They would be called illegal aliens, right? Honestly, you have to rewrite all the laws if you want to do away with that term. People who come into this country illegally are illegal aliens, period, end of statement. I don't want to hear it. And she thinks we should not talk about radical Islamic behavior? Why not? Democrats are all about controlling the language, and she's right there with them. She has very specific pronouns.
Yes. And my pronouns are she, her, and hers.
She, her, and her? Mine too.
All right.
All right. She wants to ban fracking, even though she said she didn't. Lately she's been saying, oh, no, I don't want to ban fracking. Well, why would she change her mind? If she said before she wants to ban fracking, why would she now say, oh, that's not really my position? Well, it has something to do with the state of Pennsylvania, where they drill for oil and they frack. And by the way, it provides a lot of money for the economy of middle Pennsylvania. And so she's saying she never was holding that position, that she's never been in favor of banning fracking. Listen to this.
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. So, yeah, and starting with what we can do on day one around public lands, right? And then there has to be legislation. But yes, and this is something I've taken on in California. I have a history of working on this issue. And to your point, we have to just acknowledge that the residual impact of fracking is enormous in terms of the impact on the health and safety of communities.
That's right. So she's all for a ban on fracking. And if you, let me tell you, she doesn't really understand fracking. Let me just tell you, I grew up in the oil fields, and in the oil fields of West Texas where I grew up, even when I was a child, they were doing what they called fracturing, which is fracking. They would fracture the ground underneath so that the oil could be removed more quickly. And it is a widely used technology. And if you say we're going to ban fracking, it means that you're really putting a limit on the kinds of oil that can be explored easily, and the vast oil fields of West Texas and in Pennsylvania and in Oklahoma and other places. You do away with fracking because all the easy oil, that went a long time ago. The harder oil to get requires fracturing beneath the ground and letting the oil then come out. And if you're going to be going after what they call the shale oil, there's more shale oil in this country than exists under the entire country of Saudi Arabia. Out in West Texas, they got shale oil like nobody's business. It takes fracking. It does take fracking. And so, you're going to shut down all domestic exploration. And by the way, she's against offshore drilling as well. So if you don't take oil out of the Gulf of Mexico and you don't frack to take the oil and natural gas out of the ground, what are we going to have? Are you going to count on windmills? Solar panels? I mean, I don't have nothing against those two things, but that's not enough. And how are you going to provide electricity for all of those electric cars that you're going to make us drive? You got to have oil, and that requires fracking, and she's against it. And by the way, if you ban fracking, here's what I promise you will happen within a short few months. The price of oil will go through the roof. It will go through the roof so fast because that's how you get the oil out of the ground. And oil will become so expensive that you can't afford to drive anywhere, which I think is really her goal all along. And then, again, you can't provide the electricity that is needed to charge up the electric cars that she wants to replace them with because we don't have it set up to do that. We're not set up for that. So it's a disaster. And again, she thinks about this far in front of her nose. Oh, this sounds good. We don't like oil. Oil, it's messy. Natural gas, we don't want carbon-based fuels. We don't want them. They're bad. Well, okay, well then how are you going to replace them? Nobody asked the second question. Nobody asked the follow-on question. This one gets me. I mean, I listen. I'll admit I'm a child of the oil field, and I probably think about energy more than anybody else. But I'll tell you something: if you cause the cost of energy to go up by doing fracking, by saying fracking's not allowed, if you ban fracking, the price will go up, and that will ripple through the economy. You think you've seen 9% inflation? You ain't seen nothing yet. Because it will ripple through the economy so quickly, we'll be in a disastrous shape. So again, you got to listen to what she said before, not what she's saying now. And when it comes to the southern border, she was the southern border czar. She says she wasn't, but she was. And she wants you to know that there was one goal in all of that: amnesty for the people that have been brought into this country illegally.
Understood that we should have a bipartisan approach to fixing this problem, which is a long-standing problem. But what are the solutions? The solution includes putting resources at the border to do what we can to process people effectively, and putting in place laws that actually allow for a meaningful pathway to citizenship.
Pathway to citizenship. That's what it's always been about. That has been what their whole policy has been. Bring people in here and give them a pathway to citizenship. By the way, they say, well, you know, people who are in this country illegally, who aren't residents, aren't people who are citizens, can't vote. They just pulled in Virginia. They just pulled 6,300 names off the rolls of people who were not qualified to vote because they weren't U.S. citizens. You think that doesn't happen? It happens. If it can happen in the Commonwealth of Virginia, where they have pretty tight laws, it can happen in any other state of the Union. Their plan has always been get those folks in and get them a pathway to citizenship. And even if they don't have a pathway to citizenship, I think a lot of them are going to find ways to vote in this coming election. It is a real thing. Just ask the Commonwealth of Virginia that just took 6,303 names off of the voting rolls because they weren't citizens. And of course, if we're going in the Wayback Machine to find some of the things that she said, let's listen to this one, because this is really... she's not walking away from what she truly is.
And yeah, I am a radical.
She is a radical, and she'll be the first to tell you.
And yeah, I am a radical.
I'm a radical. Don't forget what she is. And the Wayback Machine will help us throughout this campaign to make sure we hold them accountable to the things that they have said before. 50 minutes now past the hour. All right, listen, the Busy Bee folks have some August specials. They call them their back-to-school specials, and you'll see why very soon. Your HVAC, you need a new unit? Well, I can understand. You know, they do wear out. If you purchase a new high-efficiency unit, you can register to win the Healthy Hive giveaway, a $2,000 sponsorship to a local school of the winner's choice. Now, it has to be within the service area, not out of region or out of state. But $2,000, that could be really nice. And all you got to do is buy that new air conditioner you needed to buy anyway to get qualified to be a potential winner of that $2,000 sponsorship. Beehive, buy one, get one for your family, and get one for a teacher, a coach, or a faculty member that you admire. That's how, you know, listen, first of all, you want to be a Beehive member. Right, you do, because you get a lot of breaks. There's a lot of good to that. You get all these inspections on your systems throughout the year. But if you buy one, you can give a free one to a member of your school staff, a member of the school faculty, or one of your favorite teachers. Again, higher education institutions any local school, but it must be within the service area. They got some specials going on, $100 off home indoor air quality products, $250 off water filtration products, and I've done that at my house. I've had them put a filter system on my water, and I'm telling you, it is so tasty. It is just delicious. Here's the number, 615-775-7833. Call Busy Bee, and if you need to find out their website, it's busybeehvac.com for more information.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Good evening. It is 6 p.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We've still got a partly sunny sky. We're at 86 degrees. Traffic and weather are coming up. A former Syrian military official who helped run one of the country's most controversial prisons, where abuse of political dissidents allegedly occurred, has been indicted in Los Angeles. Alex Stone is reporting from L.A.
He was arrested at Los Angeles International Airport in July. 72-year-old Samir Al-Sheikh was held on immigration fraud charges for allegedly falsely stating on his visa application into the U.S. years ago that he had not committed, ordered, incited, assisted, or taken part in killings or acts of violence, but he's accused of directing abuse and torture of inmates in prison in Syria. Now he's been indicted here in L.A. on charges of lying to U.S. authorities. He faces a maximum sentence of 10 years in prison.
An upset at the Summer Games in Paris today. A first gold win for Botswana in the event, at the surprise victory over the U.S. and fastest-ranked runner in the world, Noah Lyles. Later, Lyles and his representatives confirmed that he has COVID. Team USA's Kenny Bednarik, he won the silver medal. ABC's Michelle Franzen says COVID and respiratory illnesses on the rise at the Olympics.
Team USA sprinter Noah Lyles, favored to win the 200-meter and making a quest for more gold, ended the race with bronze. Lyles' rep confirmed he had tested positive for COVID 2 days ago and made the decision to compete. U.S. Track and Field in a statement say they enacted all necessary protocols to prioritize his health and well-being of the team and fellow competitors. The World Health Organization says more than 36 athletes have tested positive for COVID and respiratory illnesses since the Paris Olympics began.
And back here in Tennessee, a crazy story. I mean, it's almost like a plot from a Bruce Willis action film. 3 men believed to be gang members from Texas. They were taken into custody yesterday after a robbery here in Nashville and a robbery attempt in Kingston Springs, Tennessee. According to Metro Police, a repairman, he was servicing a Bank of America ATM on Charlotte Pike yesterday when 3 suspects approached the man with what appeared to be a weapon and quickly stole cash containers from the ATM. Metro Police said the trio then took off in a stolen vehicle that was later detected by license plate readers in Kingston Springs. Soon thereafter, Kingston Springs Police, they responded to a shots fired call after a homeowner called 911 and said somebody had just tried to rob her, but she fired shots at them in their vehicle as they took off. A Kingston Springs officer soon found that vehicle parked and witnessed the same 3 men running from the car. Law enforcement from several agencies quickly established a perimeter to contain the suspects. They had helicopters on the hunt for these guys from both Metro Police and State Police. Ground units, they finally coordinated a search with the help of those choppers and took these guys into custody. Yeah, that is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
The Guaranteed Offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Good evening, everyone. It's 7 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson, your friend and radio buddy, bringing you news and information and stapling papers all at the same time.
Multitasking, man.
Who says I can't multitask? Well, I do, because I normally can't do that. But I'm still searching the World Wide Web for new information, so that and it's not officially ready for broadcast until it gets a staple. So there you go. Yeah. There's some interesting stuff going on out there, and I got a great story of more information about what happened on July 13th and the assassination attempt against Donald Trump. And I want to make sure that I get that to you, because I think it's pretty interesting stuff. Hold it. One more story just came in. Okay.
That was just one piece of paper, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't. No, this is like 5 pieces.
I thought you stapled one piece of paper to make it official.
Why would I waste a perfectly good staple on one piece of paper?
Well, you said it had to be stapled to be official.
Well, no, and if it's just one page.
Oh, okay, all right.
I mean, come on, I'm not wasteful.
clarify.
I mean, what would that cost me? 1/10 of a penny?
Money's tight these days. Yeah,
that's right. I know. Seriously, we're getting some new information and about what happened on July 13th, and it really has to do with more body cam footage. And I must say that once again, it appears that the best information that we're getting is coming from the local officials and not from the FBI and not from the Secret Service. They're not telling us squat about what happened on that day, but the local officers have got nothing to lose, because, quite frankly, they may well be responsible for saving the life of Donald Trump. I mean, really, honestly, it may well be that. So let me just go through some of this stuff. I mean, what happened was some local folks were saying, there's a man on the roof, and he's got a gun. And so they're doing everything they can to get over there. And they run over there, and this is local Butler Police Department. They were doing traffic duty nearby. That's what they've been assigned to do. I really do believe that part of what we're going to find as we get into this thing a lot deeper is that the Secret Service had a bit of disdain for the local police. We're the mighty Secret Service. We are 10 foot tall. We are bulletproof. We know everything. And you poor local yokels don't know squat. Well, you know what? The local police officers, again, I think it's going to be, at the end of the day, we're going to write the history on this, and we're going to say it was the local police officers that perhaps kept Donald Trump alive. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about why I feel that way so strongly. So, local folks, they're seeing the guy climb on the roof that should have been covered by the Secret Service but wasn't, and they're pointing it out to local police, and there's a guy up there, he's got a gun, you got to go. And so they run over there, and one local Butler police officer, and this is all seen on body cams now, gives another officer a boost up onto the roof, right? And you see him go up, and you see, for a moment, you see his camera catch a little bit of that that corrugated metal roof as he peeked up over the top. Well, the shooter, who was still alive at that point, turned his gun on the officer, and the officer let go to avoid having his head blown off. And he fell about 8 feet down to the ground, and they immediately began calling and saying, there's a guy on the roof, there's a guy on the roof, there's a guy on the roof. Unfortunately, their walkie-talkies were not talking to the Secret Service. The Secret Service could not hear those things. And so now the shooter knows, all right, well, it's up now. The police know I'm here. They're going to be coming up behind me here in just a moment. I've got to rush this shot. You could look at it another way. In the time that the shooter was distracted, if he had not been distracted and had gotten a dead bead on Donald Trump before he turned his head, Donald Trump could well be dead right now. It's that serious. I mean, we came so incredibly close to losing Donald Trump on that day. I think that if it hadn't been for the distraction of the police officers, the local police officers, not the Secret Service, that would be the case. From the Washington Examiner, Footage capturing the moment a local police officer confronted former President Donald Trump's would-be assassin before he opened fire at the July 13th rally was released by the police today. Lieutenant Matthew Pearson, the acting chief of the Butler Township Police Department, shared the body cam footage with the Washington Examiner. The video shows the experiences of several officers who responded before, during, and after the shooting and paint a clearer picture of how Thomas Crooks was able to fire on Trump despite being confronted. I'm going to have to, there's going to be a lot of this because the language, as you might imagine, these police officers were amped up and they were throwing away around some pretty rough language at the time. Effing this close, bro. He turned around on me, said the officer who was hoisted up onto the American Glass Research Building where Crooks was stationed. The footage, of which some of the audio was redacted, shows a police officer running toward the building at 6:10 p.m., 1 minute before Trump was shot. Moments later, he was hoisted up by another officer and is shown on video peeking over the roof for a brief moment before Crooks, who cannot be seen at this point, turned his gun on him. Clinging to the roof and able to draw his weapon, the officer fell approximately 8 feet down, sprained his ankle. Seconds later, at 6:11, Crooks opened fire. All of the audio from the officer's body cam before 6:12 was redacted. After the officer fell from the roof, he can be seen on video sprinting to warn other police officers who's got eyes on him. He helped a team of officers carrying rifles who were attempting to scale the wrong part of the building to locate Crooks. He alerted others that the shooter had, quote, a full kit, meaning he had a full weapon, long hair, glasses, and a bag, and that he was laying down prone out on the roof. None of the officers on the ground appeared to be aware that Crooks was killed seconds after he fired on Trump and the rally-goers. Minutes after the shooting, an officer who spotted a deceased crook on the roof shouted, "Hold, hold, hold, he's got an effing gun." Eventually, the officer who confronted Crooks made it to the roof with a backup, and the footage showed the shooter dead on the metal roof with a stream of blood that spanned from the peak of the roof slope in the middle of the building of the edge. In other footage, 4 officers can be seen carrying a body covered in blood to a white tent. The reactions of numerous rally-goers was also captured on video, including several who claimed to have seen the shooter die from the counter-sniper fire. Quote, and this is hard to hear, "I seen his head pop off," said one person. Another chimed in, "He's dead." One rally-goer can be heard questioning how Crooks made it up on the roof unnoticed because they got snipers on the roof. In the footage, officers can be heard speculating about how Crooks scaled the roof of the AGR building. One officer asked about a ladder, while another suggested that he used a wooden plank propped up near a pallet and near a plastic shed. Crooks' body was found in possession of a bloodied receipt for a 5-foot ladder, but the FBI does not believe he used it to carry out the attack. The officer who confronted Crooks and the officer who hoisted him up onto the building may have actually saved Trump's life by buying him the few seconds he needed to miraculously turn his head, according to Butler County Sheriff Michael Sloop. Can you imagine 10 seconds before that the president was looking straight ahead where that bullet could have potentially landed? The Butler County Sheriff defended the officer from criticism that he didn't do more to stop Crooks, who was just 130 yards away. He framed it as a decision between I'm dead or I drop. Either way, the officer wasn't going to be able to stop the shooter. I mean, you're clinging to the top of the roof with both hands. How do you get your gun out? You can't. When someone points a gun at you and you can't get to your weapon, you just tell them a-holes online that they are Superman. Like, I'll just pull out a gun and they can shoot at me. I don't give a you-know-what. Okay. Again, some of the language is pretty tough here. More stories on this that I think are pretty interesting. We're getting more details. New audio video from Trump rally shows local officers, law enforcement officers were frustrated with the Secret Service. This is pretty interesting stuff. This is stuff you haven't heard before. Newly acquired police body cam video includes audio in which a local police officer, moments after the assassination attempt on former President Trump, complains about the Secret Service not having cover the rooftop from which the sniper shot. I effing told them they needed to post guys there, he says. I told them that effing on Tuesday. And in an audio captured on his body-worn camera, I talked to the Secret Service guys. They're like, yeah, no problem. We're going to post guys over there. The tape adds to the gathering of information about security lapses that allowed Thomas Matthew Crooks to fire 8 shots at the former president from an AR-style rifle before being killed by a Secret Service counter sniper. Crooks killed 1 rally goer and wounded 3 others, as you know, in the event. A police officer in one of the new videos refers to a suspicious individual who's been lost by authorities. The unidentified officer referred to a gentleman with a flat face that they were looking for earlier. He was creeping people out. Previous reporting of police found at the rally saw a person later identified as Crooks acting suspiciously. An officer's account broadcast over radio was captured on one of the body cameras. He was watching people out in the woods by the water tower. I'm not sure he is the gentleman down or not. Minutes after the shooting, another officer arrived at the warehouse and said to a fellow officer, "I thought you guys were on the roof. I thought that was you." The other officer said no, with an explanation that no officers were on the roof, according to the newspaper. "What the F?" the first officer replied in frustration. "Why were we not on the roof? Why weren't we?" The Secret Service reportedly thought the sniper from Butler County Emergency Services Unit were supposed to secure the roof of the building from which Crooks fired. However, the local law enforcement official said previously the tactical team leaders told the Secret Service during the walkthrough that its snipers would be inside the building on the 2nd floor. This also according to the Wall Street Journal. Butler's team didn't want the snipers on the roof because they would have been exposed to temperature over 90 degrees throughout the day, the officials reportedly said. That is not the reason they weren't on the roof. Listen, as we get into this thing, I know what you're saying, and I hear all of the things. And who am I to say you're not right? Maybe there was more to this than meets the eye. But the story, the narrative that seems to be developing, and I'm looking at the evidence that's available, not speculating. If you look at the evidence available, it looks like an incredible lapse in judgment on the part of the Secret Service to not include that on their perimeter. Number 2, confusion, and I'm not sure where the confusion came from, about what the locals were going to do with regard to coverage that. Number 3, an incredible... It's just hard for me to understand how it is that police officers could not communicate what they knew to the Secret Service in a timely way. That the Secret Service wasn't interested in anything the Butler Police Department would have to say because they did not have those communications coming into their command center. You had a command center over here with the FBI. Across the rally site was a Pennsylvania State Patrol command center, and they were listening to what the locals were saying, but the information was not being relayed to the Secret Service in a timely fashion. It's a lot of left-hand, right-hand stuff, followed up by an incredible lapse in judgment to begin with, apparently conducted, and the entire security plan was created by someone that, according to officials, they didn't have a lot of confidence in. The Trump people apparently did not have a lot of confidence in them. We heard that from Senator Josh Hawley. There had been problems with this individual before. They didn't think that she was qualified to put together the security plan. And then just a lot of things that just fell wrong. Communications that were siloed. The left hand not knowing what the right hand was doing. Confusion everywhere because, what causes confusion? A lack of communication before, a lack of communication during, and a lack of communication after. It is really quite troubling. And again, the more we learn, the more we come away with the opinion that Donald Trump came very, very, very close to losing his life on that day. 21 minutes past the hour. This week, don't be surprised to see other jewelry store owners shopping at Genesis Diamonds. They'll be taking advantages of Genesis' most aggressive offer ever. All GIA diamond engagement rings marked down an extra 20% below Genesis' everyday price. That's right. The vault is open and Genesis is selling the finest handcrafted diamond rings at rock-bottom prices now for a very limited time. The GIA is the world standard in diamond grading, certifying accuracy, and documenting quality so you can buy with confidence. Every Genesis engagement ring is included in this event, from a half carat up to 20 carat stones. All shapes, rounds, radiants, pear shapes, princess cuts, emerald cuts, cushion cuts, ovals, you name it, they've got it. There's never been a better time to get an extreme value price on a GIA certified diamond, perfectly set in a gorgeous engagement ring. Hurry in for the best selection. It's Genesis Diamonds GIA Diamond Extravaganza. Save an extra 20% on these rare, precious diamond rings. Now for a limited time, one per customer, please. Exclusively at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs. See store for details.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Well, we now know there will be at least one presidential debate. Could there be others? Well, and we'll also have today's closing money news. We've got all of that coming up for you at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Jay Harper in the newsroom, bringing us our last live local newscast of the day here in just a few moments. We will be here all the way till 7 o'clock, and then we will hand it over to Mark Levin, the great one. So listen, I think this is one of these stories that I don't know why you ever would start this fight, but a lot of people over the history of this country have tried to have this fight, and it never ends up well for them. I am very proud of the people at Camping World. Now, Camping World is, if you have an RV, you probably at some time have been to Camping World. They sell a lot of RVs. They sell a lot of stuff for RVs, and it's a major retailer, and they're all over the country. Listen to this story. RV retailer Camping World defies California county order to take down their giant American flag. Camping World CEO Marcus Lemonis reinstalled the American flag on Monday after the county ordered it to be taken down. You got to love that. Camping World RV Sales in San Joaquin County, like many of the company's other 250 locations, flies a giant American flag over its grounds. That was stopped in April when the county ordered the dealership to remove the flag, citing safety reasons, and said they didn't have enough permission to do it, this according to Fox 40. Camping World's flagpole was installed with neither a building permit or a planning approval. Therefore, they are in conversation with the Code Enforcement Division, the county said in a statement to the local outlet. Okay. The county feels the flagpole could be dangerous because of its closeness to property lines and highways. However, Camping World CEO Marcus Lemonis disagreed and ordered the flag to be reinstalled on the location on Monday. We felt like we were putting people in danger or causing any issues with air traffic. I guess I don't know if there's an airport nearby or not. We would absolutely not be okay, then we wouldn't do it, Lemonis said to Fox 40. Lemonis argued the flagpole was secure and set deeply in the ground. If it were any other flag but the American flag, we would have no problem taking it down while the permit issues were being resolved. However, he feels strongly about keeping the American flag up no matter what. It's symbolism about how we feel about this country. We have a lot of veterans who work for us and a lot of veterans who shop with us. I happen to be an immigrant. I was given the blessing of being able to enter this country and becoming a citizen. I am grateful for it. It's been a part of my life since I was a little child in Miami, Florida, where we had the largest flagpole in Miami at our car dealership. The county said that Camping World has since applied for a building permit for the flagpole, and it's under review. Let me tell you something. This will not end up well for the county. This never does end up well for the people who want to, it's like, what, you're going to tell me I can't fly the American flag? I promise you San Joaquin will back down on this, and I promise you that that flag will fly forevermore at the Camping World in San Joaquin County. And I really admire the CEO, Marcus Lemonis, for standing up to some boneheaded bureaucrat at the Planning and Zoning Commission in San Joaquin County. What you have here are people with a little bit of power, and they abuse it. Well, you don't have a building permit for that flag. Well, we'll see about this, won't we? Yeah, we're going to see about it, and we know how it's going to turn out. Time for the news at 6:30.
Good evening. It is 6:30, and I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. Still mostly sunny, 86 degrees. A traffic report, a weather forecast are both on the way. Well, there will be at least one presidential debate. ABC's Selena Wang has more.
It's official. Former President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris will face off in a primetime debate on ABC next month. The debate, one of three that Trump agreed to during a Mar-a-Lago press conference. His first public appearance since the debut of the new Democratic ticket.
I look forward to the debates because I think we have to set the record straight.
Trump challenging Harris to accept the other two proposed debates. Harris had previously committed to the ABC News debate after replacing President Joe Biden as the nominee.
Trump also wants to debate Harris on Fox and NBC. The ABC News debate was scheduled for September 10th. All right, let's get to today's closing money news. And for that, we have Daria Albinger.
From ABC News Wall Street now. Stocks soared, erasing most of this week's losses. The Dow jumped 683 points. The S&P was up 120, and the NASDAQ rose 464. Earnings season rolls on with Expedia reporting better than expected numbers just after the close. A better than expected weekly jobless claims report helped push the markets higher. First-time claims fell by 17,000 to 223,000 last week. That's fewer, though, than the 240,000 claims that analysts surveyed by FactSet were predicting. Weekly unemployment claims are considered a proxy for layoffs, and although they've been trending higher lately, they are still historically low. A bleak July employment report was one of the main drivers of Friday's big plunge for stocks, which went into Monday's trading. Home prices are still high, but it's a little cheaper to finance at big purchase. Freddie Mac says the rate fell to 6.47%, the lowest level in more than a year.
That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
37 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock. Brian Wilson in the chair all the way till 7 o'clock, where we hand it over to Mark Levin, the great one. So we're here for the next few minutes. We'll try to get you informed about things going on and sort of things you may have missed as you were out, earning a salary these days. This happened, and I really haven't had a chance to get it into the show, and I don't want to get through without making mention of this. Biden has been very low-key since, he sort of got elbowed out of the way, and he's been, I guess, in the basement as an angry little lame duck, and hasn't had much to say. But he did do one interview, and he was asked about whether or not he thinks there will be a peaceful transfer of power after the next election. And he this is typical Biden. He gets it wrong at first, then he corrects himself. But here's what he had to say. I'm sorry. Here's what he had to say.
Are you confident that there will be a peaceful transfer of power in January 2025?
If Trump wins, no, I'm not confident at all.
Now, hold on a minute. If Trump wins, that means that he would not be involved in a peaceful transfer of power. And then he realized, I got it backwards.
I mean, if Trump loses, I'm not confident at all. He means what he says. We don't take him seriously. He means it. All the stuff about if we lose, there'll be a bloodbath. Have be a stolen election. Look what they're trying to do now in the local election districts where people count the votes. They're elected, they're putting people in place in states that they're going to count the votes, right?
Yeah, that's what you do in an election. You count the votes, and the Democrats will have people there to observe the process. The Republicans will have people there to observe the process. That's nothing new. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. As most of the case lately, when he speaks, we end up with more questions about what did he mean than we learned anything in the process. So, but I love this part where he says, "No, if Trump wins, of course there won't be." Oh, wait a minute. That would be me. I can't say that. This poor guy. Maybe it's just best that we let Grandpa get some ice cream and go to bed early, okay? Here we go. The other story that I want to get to dig in on in our last few moments together has to do with Tim Walz, the running mate of Kamala Harris, and his military service or lack thereof. Now, look, I really don't want to say that he didn't serve in the military because he did for 24 years. But as I understand it, I've been digging into this a lot today. As I understand it, he enrolled. He said, I want to go up a notch. He was a sergeant major, and he wanted to become a command sergeant major, which meant he had to go to a special school. In order to do that, he had to sign up for a longer service, right? And so they gave him the position conditionally. In other words, they give you the title command sergeant major while you're going through the school, but you don't really get to earn that title in a full way until you absolutely graduate from that school, which he had not yet done. And so he walked away, and he said that he keeps saying he was a command sergeant major, but he wasn't. He had the title, an acting title, and then when he left, they reduced him in rank because he hadn't finished the school. And that's what he retired as a sergeant major, not a command sergeant major. People are calling that stolen valor to claim that you were something you were not. And then there's the whole thing about what happened when his unit was ready to go to Iraq. They got called up. He'd been there for 24 years. He was in charge of all of these men beneath him. And when he found out that his unit was going to Iraq, he immediately resigned his commission. He resigned from the Army. And apparently there was a way to work that out, and he left. But he left people in a real lurch as they were about to go off to a position of war. We know this because there were people there at the time who were completely offended by his actions. This guy's name is Tom Behrens, who served alongside of Tim Walz in the National Guard.
when 05 rolled around, he got notified. I mean, they all knew what was going to happen. I mean, it was right on the documents. It was going to be Iraq. The warning order was out there from March until May, and then May rolled around, and the rumor came out across the state that he had quit, turned his stuff in, and slithered down the steps out of the armory and had quit and retired. And everybody was in shock because senior NCOs don't do that. I mean, that you basically train for years and years. You're with your soldiers. Your soldiers are literally like your kids almost. I mean, you've watched them grow up. You've helped them shoot guns and learn how to do the radio stuff. And then all of a sudden, when it's time to go do your thing with that, you quit. I mean, that just absolutely was just disgusting. People were like, well, what is he, a coward, whatever. Nobody knew what the answer was. And then,
well, he wanted to run for public office, and he did so. There have been a lot of problems with the things that he has said from time to time. Like, one time he's talking about the need for gun control, which, may give you great concern if you're a believer in the Second Amendment. But he kept talking about, the guns of war like I used in a war zone. He was never in a war zone.
I'll take my kick in the butt for the NRA. I spent 25 years in the Army, and I hunt. And I gave the money back, and I'll tell you what I have been doing. I've been voting for common sense legislation that protects the Second Amendment, but we can do background checks. We can do CDC research. We can make sure we don't have reciprocal carry among states, and we can make sure that those weapons of war that I carried in war is the only place where those weapons are at.
The weapons of war that I carried in war, he was never, not one moment was he ever in a war zone. That's again, when you hear people talk about stolen valor, that's claiming you did things in the military that you never did. That's taken very seriously in military circles. So that's a real problem right there. Claiming that you were in the military and that you served in a war zone when you didn't. Nobody ever shot at Tim Walz. Again, the sergeant major thing in 2006. He again said, I was a command sergeant major.
I'm Tim Walz, and I'm running for Congress in Minnesota's 1st Congressional District. I'm a retired command sergeant major. I spent 24 years in the Army National Guard.
No, he wasn't a command sergeant major, not at retirement. He certainly wasn't. Again, he said it in 2009.
Hello, everyone. I'm Congressman Tim Walz. It's a real honor to be able to pay tribute to the 34th Red Bull Infantry Division and to your families and friends as you prepare to deploy in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. As a 24-year veteran of the National Guard and the Red Bull Division and a retired command sergeant major, I'm especially proud of you. You are continuing a long and great tradition of service by the citizen soldiers of the 34th.
Well, there you go. Again, he claims that he was a retired command sergeant major, and he was not. J.D. Vance has been very effective, and what is just the absolute right guy to send out there to point out these kinds of things on the campaign trail. Here's J.D.
You know what really bothers me about Tim Walz as a Marine who served his country in uniform? When the United States Marine Corps, when the United States of America asked me to go to Iraq to serve my country, I did it. I did what they asked me to do it, and I did it honorably, and I'm very proud of that service. When Tim Walz was asked by his country to go to Iraq, you know what he did? He dropped out of the Army and allowed his unit to go without him, a fact that he's been criticized for aggressively by a lot of the people that he served with. I think it's shameful to prepare your unit to go to Iraq, to make a promise that you're going to follow through, and then to drop out right before you actually have to go. I also think it's dishonest. Something, again, if you guys ever get an opportunity to ask Tim Walz or Kamala Harris some questions, he made this interesting comment that the Kamala Harris campaign put out there, and I bet they're regretting they put it out there now, because he said that and he was making a point about gun control, he said we shouldn't allow weapons that I used in war to be on America's streets. Well, I wonder, Tim Walz, when were you ever in war? What was this weapon that you carried into war, given that you abandoned your unit right before they went to Iraq, and he has not spent a day in a combat zone? What bothers me about Tim Walz is the stolen valor garbage. Do not pretend to be something that you're not. And if he wants to criticize me for getting an Ivy League education, I'm proud of the fact that my mamaw supported me, that I was able to make something of myself. I'd be ashamed if I was him and I lied about my military service like he did.
Well, there you go. I mean, that's a pretty serious charge. I mean, you may think, oh, it seems like small potatoes. It's just one word. And, you know, maybe he was talking euphemistically about weapons of war. You know, I mean, when you start talking about things that you did when you're in the military and you go out and you campaign on it, you go out there and you say, I want you to cast your vote for me because I served in the military, and you're using that as something that is a campaign issue, and you're saying, I served my country for 24 years. Yes, he did for 24 years. He served in the National Guard. Thank you so much for your service, but you did not retire as a command sergeant major. You did not. You never carried a weapon into a war zone, and when it came time, when push came to shove, and it came time for those men and women that you trained to go to Iraq, you scooted out. You didn't want to have any part of it. You got to own that. So, you know, you don't get to hold up your military service as some, you know, a wonderful thing when you're running for an elected office if you're going to claim things that were not true. I mean, he took advantage of all the things that the military offered him. He talked about how, well, you know, I went and I took my GI Bill and I went off and I learned this and I learned that and I went to school on the GI Bill. Well, yeah, you took advantage of all the great things that the military provided for you. But when push came to shove and it was time for you to go into the battle zone where they were going to be taking pot shots at you and the men that you trained, you ran away. You decided that you no longer wanted to be in the military. Oops, I guess I better get out of this thing. They may actually make me go and do this thing that I've trained for. When you invest in somebody for 24 years and then you need them, that's when the time you're supposed to step up, not run away. Now, look, I think J.D. Vance is the right person to put out there. I understand that very quietly. I got to get this Harris Walz campaign. It's hard for me to get used to the new names. The Harris Walz campaign has quietly re-edited his bio, taken out command sergeant major, just sergeant major. And they're very quietly trying to fix these things, but you can't run away from things. And this to me automatically disqualifies him as somebody you could vote for. If you care about the military and the men and women who serve in it, I don't know how in the world then you could support somebody who ran the moment it got tough. That's not what you do in the military. I saw Pete Hegseth, who served in the military proudly, really get aggravated about this. And he said, we have a name for him now. It's not Tim Walz. It's Tim AWOLs. He was AWOL when it mattered most, wasn't he? I think it's going to be an issue, and I don't think he can run away from it. And I look forward to that vice presidential debate. That's going to be a good one. 50 minutes now, past the hour of 6 o'clock.